Welcome everybody to the House 6 Movie Podcast, our movie podcast about movies. We record about twice a month, and we give you opinions on all the movies that we fit into our eyeballs. So this week, we get interpersonal with Brendan Fraser in The Whale, and then we discuss what happens when two bros break up in the Banshees of Inisherin. I almost said Ed Sheeran because Jared made that joke.
It's pretty good.
Now this just sticks in my head. So let's meet the crew. Jared, give us your thoughts on miniature donkeys.
I love a good miniature donkey. Regular sized donkeys are just a little too big for me, but when you have a miniature, just right. It's like those mini chocolates, way better.
Interesting take. Thomas, you bring us any news?
Crap, no. Was I
You
supposed
never
to?
bring us news!
Was I supposed to?
Alex, how many candy bars could you eat? You're really angry.
We can find out right now. Go grab some.
He just pulls out a bag like right there.
Yeah.
He has a drawer of them. Like,
I've been waiting for this moment.
In reality, like, what are we talking about? Were we talking about like the half bars,
Full
or like
size.
the full
No,
full
it's gotta
size
be
bars?
Full size.
I think 1 1/4. Like, I don't know.
That's it?
In that movie, I was like,
I could do more.
I was watching that movie. I was like, how did he just do that?
That's a question. What candy bar would it be?
That's the thing, is like if it's too sweet, it hurts to eat. I'm thinking like I could do like a Kit Kat or like a Three Musketeer. I could eat a few of
A
those.
Kit Kat.
I'm thinking
It's not a real candy bar.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I could do that.
It's cheating. It's just like a
I couldn't do like a Snickers. That would just be way too much. Or a
I was gonna
Payday.
say I think I could do like 3 Snickers.
Oh God, no! That would my
That'd
stomach
be-
would be full.
I've done 2 Snickers.
Hmm.
They come in 2 packs, so you gotta eat both sometimes.
I still am stuck on like, what size is this? Is this like the jumbo size he had?
Oh,
Talking about the
no.
airport ones, the
But
gift
like
ones.
ones that are like this big.
The regular size, not
That's
the
when you
mini,
go to the
not the
store.
king.
So about this.
size.
Yeah.
Snickers
Oh,
size.
okay.
Regular?
I could do like probably like 2 1/4.
Okay.
That's still pretty low.
Oh, I don't know, man.
It's surprisingly, because I've heard stories about like Thanksgiving. I hear you pack
Oh,
pounds.
yeah, but I do that over the course of the day. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Finally got Michael. Michael,
Hello.
I want you to share something with the group that's just truth. Just honest.
Truth?
Just honest. I want you to be honest.
Oh my glob. That's so hard. I don't know. Give me time. Give me time. I'll come up with something.
He gets like brutally honest, and we're like, oh.
I don't want to be here. I hate all of you, and I'm done.
It's like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're lame.
What's
That's
that?
what we wanted. That's just what we wanted. Honestly.
I don't know. I was thinking the Grinch, but I think I'm just thinking when he's like, jury duty, blackmail, pink slip.
It's Jim Carrey, but there's something. It might be Liar, where he's like,
Yeah, I
insulting
think
other
it's
people.
Liar.
Oh yeah.
But I don't remember what the actual line is anymore.
It's been too long. Right, let's get into the coming attractions. Lots of horror trailers this time, but this one's more of a horror comedy, and it was kind of the big one of the week. Renfield. What do you guys think of this one?
I am
Good
all
trailer.
down for this one. 1, I love Nicholas Hoult. 2, I love vampires. 3, it looks funny. And 4, it seems like just a splash of Nick Cage, not like all Nick Cage.
The trailer
I'm
had
for
the
it.
appropriate amount of Nick Cage, and it was all at the end and all about him, and it was great.
Yeah, I was very down until Nick Cage, and then I'm like, I don't know, guys.
Oh
I just don't know.
no!
Nick Cage, man, he's just
Great.
This movie would be better if Nicholas Holt's character was played by Pedro Pascal.
It's just a sequel.
I was the opposite. I was like, I don't know about this. And then Nicolas Cage came out. And I'm like, okay, here we go.
He's just a lot, you know.
He's just so.
He was. I think The Pig was like my second favorite movie last year, but or 2 years ago now. But so I can like him, but he's just a lot.
Nicolas Cage is like that friend that you like, but you can't. You can only be around him like an hour.
Yeah.
An hour.
Time to go home, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
All right. Next movie up. Another. It used to be a horror comedy, but now it just looks like straight horror. It's Evil Dead Rise. What do you guys think of this reboot? I guess it is.
I like the last reboot, and this one looks pretty good. This one looks a little too like it could go either way, but I'm excited for it.
I mean, I remember seeing the first reboot with Jared and her friend Johnny in theaters. We actually snuck Johnny in because he forgot his ID, and people there.
That was me, I think.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Johnny. We had to sneak him by the cop. And
I don't think that cop cared, to be honest. I highly doubt it.
Well, no, the cop was checking IDs because everybody wanted to get in. That's why. But yeah, this looks pretty good. It looks. I watched the Red Band trailer and I saw a lot already. I was like, oh my, that is a lot of gore already. Especially the taking off of the scalp. I was like, oh dear.
Yeah.
But I mean, Evil Deads are like, at the end of the day, they're fun. And this one looks like it could be a lot of fun to watch in theaters with like people. So
it did have like one forced line when the little girl's like, "You'd make a good mom. You know how to lie to kids." I was like, "Shut up, little kid."
It's too intelligent of a thing to say.
Well, that kid doesn't need to be played by Bruce Campbell. So, or voiced by Bruce Campbell. And I the kid player, but dubber with Bruce Campbell.
Oh my god!
So Gordy Weaver, this crap.
Yeah, except it'd be better because it would work. So,
what about you non-horror fans out there, Michael and Alex? What do you guys think?
Do you really want to know what I think about this?
Yeah, I want honesty. Dang it!
It's stupid. This doesn't do anything for me, man. This is like, it's too much.
It looks too serious for me.
I watched the trailer and I thought, why?
Yeah.
Why make this? Why watch this? Why acknowledge his presence?
It just seems like a shame because it just seems
I felt the same way about Avatar, but we watched that.
You liked Avatar. You liked like the one person that did.
You did. It's a shame because there are some cool shots in this trailer. I'm like some very eerie looking shots, and I just wish it was a different movie. Anyway,
that shot when the little girl looks through the keyhole or whatever, and it's her mom standing there. That was pretty creepy shot. I like that one. So,
yeah,
but
I just have a feeling that this, like in the line Jared said, this is the overall message of this movie is parents suck, kids are good.
yeah.
Okay, another horror one is Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin. What did you guys think of this one?
Guys, this is like the first time I think I am excited for an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I know a twist, but
it does look better than Old, the last one.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Oh, it looks pretty good. Shyamalan's hit or miss. I mean, it can be really good or just be terrible. There's no way to tell until we see the movie, really. Because like Old kind of had like a cool premise, and then you saw the movie, you're like, that didn't work out. I mean, Split's really good. What's that one with the old people?
The Visit?
The Visit. I like that one. Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't, but I actually enjoyed that one.
Yeah, why is there any director who is so across the board, like, but not like over time, like they start off great and they end up bad, or they start off bad and they end up great. Like he's just like, it's like a coin flip. It's like he's got Harvey Dent every time, just being like, we'll see, but it looks cool.
Know.
If it can keep the intensity of the trailer, it should be pretty good. I'm thinking about The Visit. That one does kind of keep up that, like, keeps you going the whole time.
Yeah.
This is like that.
The only problem with The Visit was just it. What's funny is the movie's only like an hour and 40 minutes long, but it could have been 20 minutes shorter and it would have worked out a little better. But I don't know. It, like I said, it's Shyamalan. We won't know until we see it until it's good or if it's good or not.
Michael, your honest thoughts?
The only reason I'd see this is because Dave Bautista and Rupert Grint. Like it looked like semi interesting of an idea, but it like the follow through. We'll see if it's there or not, but it doesn't look like it's going to be there. So,
does anyone want to guess the twist?
That Rupert
It's
Grint
a-
is Dave Bautista.
Oh my god!
Is there a twist? Though? I don't know, because it's like based on an adaptation or an adaptation of a book.
that's the twist. It isn't based off an adaptation.
Ooh, there you go.
It's like
I made this whole thing up.
it's like in the
There's
credits.
a
It just
pseudonym that I wrote back in then, so I could say I adapted off my own writings.
he just crosses out the name of who was written by in the credits, and it says, "Actually, it was me."
Gotcha.
Actually, I would appreciate that. That'd be
You
funny.
know how he always has to put himself in the movie?
Yeah.
Very end, after the credits, it's just him like typing at the computer. And it's like the book, and he just like turns around. Right. Rounding out our horror themes, this is a smaller one called Daughter. What do you guys think of this one?
The trailer ended and Alex goes, "Oh, that looks so lame." So
I don't even remember this. I don't even remember this, but I remember it was stupid.
that's where they had the girl in the garage and they're like trying to get her to be a part of their family, and then they were sitting down, they were happy, and it had the kid from the OA, and he was all giggling at one point in front of the coffee table. I don't know. It looked forced to me.
Yeah,
I was getting some Resident Evil 7 vibes when they like have the POV shot at the table. I was just like, that can't be a coincidence. But I don't know. This one looks. It looks like it didn't get funded all the way because like the house looks like it just looks like they went to Goodwill and got stuff. Like I don't know. It's a very odd trailer.
Jared, any thoughts?
Yeah, it didn't really get me. Doesn't look like.
I have a feeling it's marketing, that maybe they market this like more of a horror movie, and it's probably not really much of a horror movie.
Yeah.
And turns out it's a straight horror. Horror all the way. It's
Okay.
Human Centipede 4.
Oh my!
Goodness me.
The world's just a centipede.
World.
That's the twist in Plane.
Oh god.
Speaking of Plane, what'd you guys think of
Forgot to
Plane?
watch that trailer. Another one where we're in it. And I'm like, why? Why?
I
make
could
this?
not be less interested in something.
Seriously. I turned to Michael after that trailer. I was like, what happened to him? Gerard Butler, like, what happened to you? Like, he's like making the worst Liam Neeson movies. Like, way worse. Like, I remember watching, I think Olympus Has Fallen, and I was like, this movie sucks.
Yeah, that movie did suck.
It's so boring.
I was watching this trailer and I was like, remember when this guy was the 300 guy? And then
I know.
Remember when he sang Our Hearts?
Or was burned to death by dragons?
True.
Man.
I saw the
I mean,
poster
he didn't
for
really
this.
make a big part in that, but
I saw the poster for this at the theater, and I told Jonah, I was like, yeah, the movie is probably playing. So
That's good.
maybe it'll surprise people. I don't know. Next one looks like our feel-good movie of the night. It's Juniper.
That feel good?
Yeah.
I don't know if it didn't really have a positive vibe.
what trailer was this? Because I don't think I watched the right one.
What's his
Oh, was there a different Juniper?
Michael, we did watch this trailer, but I couldn't read the font at the end of the trailer, so I didn't know it was called Juniper.
Oh, I forgot what this was about.
This is the older lady. In,
Where he's like helping her with her legs and stuff, and she wants one more lover or something like that. And it seems like she's loving on her son or something like that.
Her grandson.
That's not what I got
It's
from it.
okay. It's okay. It's her grandson.
Kind of the vibe I got.
I just thought they were good friends, and he was like, kindle a friendship, but you guys took it to a weird place.
Was he like
supposed to be
trying to-
friends?
Was he trying to take her alcohol and sell it, or like drink it?
Yeah, I think
Because like,
he was just
because his
taking
friends
it
were
to
like,
the
"Oh, how
bar.
much did you get out of this one?" He's like, "We can get this much." It seemed like they were like talking like numbers and stuff. If they
It's like
resold to their student friends.
Well, it's like she had like a very specific like drink, and then whatever he doesn't use, he's like reselling or something. I don't know.
That's just what it seemed like. But she caught immediately, and it's like, why would you expect her not? If
I
that's what
know.
she has
I
every
know.
day, like
Yeah.
she's
He's
gonna
like,
catch.
I don't
that
feel
it's
happy right
off.
now. You didn't do it right.
All right. Not what I expected from that. Okay, but that's good. And then the last one, I watch a lot of foreign trailers, and I usually don't put them on the podcast, but this one kind of caught my eye just because it looks kind of interesting, and it's called Full Time. So, what do you guys think of this one?
Yeah, I like the look of this one. It was very like pretty self-explanatory. I feel like with the title, but interesting that they in the like descriptive words above it said thriller, and I was like,
Thriller. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
got me. I was just
Like,
like,
wonder
thriller.
what they're gonna like. I'm guessing she gets caught, mooching or stealing from like she has that girl to clock her out when she leaves. She's like, but so I don't know.
It's like, and
she
I
runs
think
from
this
the
is from
popo.
trailer is that she's like trying to get a full-time position somewhere, and then at the very end of the trailer, they're like, "Oh yeah, how you excited about working after so long?" And I'm wondering if she's interviewing for a different person's job or something like that, or I don't know. It looks interesting, but thriller caught me off guard. I was like, this looks like a day in the life, like struggle type thing, not a thriller.
Yeah, just drama, not thriller.
Yeah.
A lot of running in this trailer, Thomas. You can watch it on the treadmill.
Yeah.
A great treadmill tale.
We have a treadmill tale to this week as well.
Oh,
Oh.
This one's interesting because it could be just like this lady's having a real hectic day, and they're just gonna amp up the tension. Like maybe she's running because if she doesn't get there fast enough, she won't get the job or something like that.
They're
Or
like,
maybe her children.
you've
they
been
could add-
laid off.
They had that part where like the children, she's like, I can't watch your kids no more. It's too hard or something. But maybe like her kids are home alone and she's worried that they'll die or something, so she got to run home or something. So I don't know.
Maybe.
Interesting.
Way to take it dark, Joe.
Well, they had that line in there, and I'm like,
Day in
where's
the
this
life,
going?
kids are dead.
Well, and then it did mention thriller, so I'm like, how is this a thriller? What is she running to? So I don't know, we'll have to find out. All right. If you want to follow us, follow House 6 on Instagram.com/House6moviepodcast. Follow us on Twitter. It's twitter.com/House6moviepod. Check out our YouTube video, which is That's Good Stuff, where you can find clips of this show and the long form of it. It's going to be up there on Wednesdays, so check that out. We got some other shows too you might like, and those are going to debut on Mondays. So definitely subscribe and get some notifications so you can follow all the fun or the disaster of it. Who knows? And then we have a sister podcast called That's Good Anime. And Jared, Alex tells me you guys were watching Soul Eater.
We just finished.
And it came up during the last podcast. Do they have a Soul Eater game? Was there ever a Soul Eater game?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. So interesting.
I feel like you could have like a Devil May Cry fight style for that game.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Get to work on it.
Thomas?
But we also have an email now for House 6.
that's
Oh, nice.
impossible.
I know, right?
Would you like to say the email for us?
I will say the email. The email is house6, the number 6, moviepodcast@gmail.com.
Sweet. So
I think you might be confused with That's Good Anime at gmail.com.
Come on, Jared, let's go record.
Way to be a shill.
I think you're both confused with my personal email, which is no. Great, let's get into some movies, guys. The first one is Alex. He's going to introduce us to the Banshees of Inisherin. So go ahead, Alex.
It's Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. Yeah. So this movie, have you guys ever had, friendship falling out or, just things
I've
aren't
never
going?
had a friend.
Well, you can't.
Oh,
relate.
honesty, yes.
Yeah. There it is. Check that box. Anyway, you ever had a falling out with a friend and, things aren't starting going well and you try to make it up with them and they just send you their fingers. It's like, well, that's this movie. I hope it's not a true story because it makes no sense if that's the case. From the trailer, this movie seemed like it was going to be like, someone hits like a, 3/4 life crisis. And, oh man, no one thought that was funny.
We all laughed.
Sorry, I can't see. I actually have a Google Doc open, so I can't even see. I didn't hear any laughing.
Laugh for the record,
this is already. Yeah, I could see you actually. This is a disaster. Anyway, so from the trailer, it looked like that this guy's having like a crisis of his life, and he's like, "I need some meaning in my life, and you're holding me back." And then but then they'll rekindle their friendship, and maybe the useless friend will help his other friend to be able to overcome things and accomplish his goals, and then it'll be a happy ending. That is not this movie at all. This movie is very, very depressing, very sad, and very strange. Because there's like some crazy old women following them around and casting spells on them. And like I said, he chops off his fingers to try and stop this guy from hanging out with him. And then it's like, man, do you just want to die? But then he doesn't stay in the fire because the Colin Farrell's character ends up burning his house down because his donkey choked on the fingers of what is his name? Colm. Oh, that's a character's name. Brendan Gleeson.
Anyway.
For
everything we talk about.
Yeah, spoilers for everything we talk about. Yeah, but this movie is directed and written by Martin McDonough, and I don't know what was going through his head. It's not what I thought. It impacted me a lot. If you listen to our end of the year top 10 movies, this was, I think, my number 2, and it was very emotional viewing for me. There's something about friends kind of, falling out from each other, like.
This was like the live action Fox and the Hound for you, huh?
I was about to say that. My favorite movie growing up was Fox and the Hound, and it just connected with me a ton. And I don't know why, because it's very sad. But
remember when the Hound like cut off his paws and sent him to the fox?
No, I don't remember that.
That copper.
It's like I don't want to hang out anymore. Anyway, I don't know if there's much else to say about this movie. That's pretty much it. Like they have a falling out, and then Colin Farrell. Well, there's a tone to this movie that is so like, because when was this movie based? I can't remember. It was like the
1920s.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the early 20th century or whatever. So anyway, and there's a theme that's like, just, I guess, not living up to your potential, because like his sister's doing the same thing where you can tell she's just not happy with her life. She's past the normal age of marrying, and she's very intelligent, unlike her brother. And so she wants to go do things. And by the end of the movie, she's actually leaving and going to do stuff. And then it seems like the main guy, but his story is really sad too, because he's like the only person that doesn't want this. Like he's totally content, but his story is really sad because everything is ripped from him by the end of the movie. Like there's that scene like right after his sister leaves the house and he walks back in. And I think he walks back in the house and he's all sad. And I think if I remember correctly, that's when he walks around the side of the house and he finds the donkey dead. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she doesn't know that he freaks out like that and goes and burns down his house. But he was nice enough to warn him. So he's like, keep your dog out of the house. And
there's nothing against that dog.
I'm not going to save you, if you're in there. Yeah, so there's definitely a tone of like stagnation to this movie. There's a tone of sadness. There's a tone of resentment. I don't know. It's a very, very sad movie. Colin Farrell did great. Michael talked about how that he has poo-pooed on it in the past, but lately he's been really, shining brightly. And stop laughing at me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to podcast. Anyway, but yeah, but he did a really good job. Brendan Gleeson did a very good job. The sister, everyone in this movie did a really good job. I love the little like the bar scenes where a lot of them have that kind of simple-minded life, but then they're just like leave him alone. He's serious, and then he tries to plays like playing the violin near the end of the movie, or like I guess when he chopped off one of his fingers, and that's just gross. He's also got really thick fingers.
He does.
Anyway,
thick enough to choke a miniature.
Yeah. Well, what a stupid donkey! People say that you can bite. I don't know if I believe this. I really don't think I actually believe this. They say you can bite through your finger like a carrot, but it's the mental side stopping you from doing it. But I'm like,
I think it's pretty scientifically proven because it's about the pounds of pressure you can put with your jaw.
I guess, but aren't bones not stronger than carrots? I can throw a carrot at the wall and it breaks. I throw my hand at the wall, it doesn't break.
Why
You don't know that.
Why are you throwing carrots at walls?
I said I can.
Yeah, so you have
No,
no,
this
science, you have no
sounds
proof
like-
there.
It sounds like you did do it though. Like,
Go get a
No.
carrot. Prove it.
go get a carrot.
You
First,
saw.
you boil the carrots, then they won't break.
I guess. We all saw Mary fall on that
Thomas,
thing,
stop.
and he says, like, I think I broke something. It was a carrot. It wasn't his hand, because that wouldn't happen,
It
guys.
fell off a cliff. That wasn't thrown at a wall.
Yeah, but he didn't break his hand. No one broke a bone. Anyway,
Land on his hand.
This is going to be the weirdest
Land
episode.
on his
trust in me. Anyway, that's pretty much off to say at the moment. I shall chime in. Who do I throw it to the least? Let me throw it to Michael. I feel like I do throw it to you the least.
Really? I was
Yeah.
going to say you throw it to Jared at least, but
I was gonna say Joe.
Jared
No,
looks hurt because you didn't throw it to Jared.
dude, I love throwing it to Jared.
Really?
I love it.
I don't think you ever have, to be honest.
All right, I definitely do.
It's one of those carrot situations again.
Yeah. Jared, let me throw you against the wall. Jared,
yeah.
Jared, what did you think of this movie?
Do you want me to go or do you want my
Yes, I want you to
Okay.
go.
So I watched this yesterday and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually pretty funny. I did have to watch it with subtitles because there are some lines that I was like, I don't know what you're saying, dude. But
Like, what do they call bacon? Like, what was that?
I didn't even know they talked about bacon, to be
I know,
honest,
I didn't
Thomas.
either.
Like when they're at like they're ordering something at the store. It's like, oh yeah, give me the. I'm just like, what the hell is that?
The sister's ordering.
Yeah, and I had to look it up, and it's an Irish slang for bacon. I'm just like, who would have guessed that? Not me.
I don't know this at all, but
Ordering 10 steaks? How come she's ordering so many steaks?
I guess I just don't question these things. I'm like, it must be an Irish thing. I don't know.
but I did really enjoy it. I thought it was pretty funny. I was listening to our end of the year podcast this afternoon, and you guys said you guys were shocked by it, or it wasn't what you thought. And that really confused me because it was almost exactly what I thought from the trailer. Like, I don't know. Like, when you guys saw the trailer, what did you think was going to happen? Or like, what did you think the tone was going to be, I guess?
Well, that's what I said at the top of this thing, where I thought that it was going to be like they were going to, reconcile and then become friends again. And then instead he's chopping off his fingers and they're burning each other's houses down. And I was just like, not what I expected.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be like Kevin McDonough writing quirky Irishman like he did for In Bruges, and maybe like have some hyper violence. And it kind of did have some like violence in here. But yeah, I thought the tone was going to be a little less melancholic.
I thought it was going to get really dark. Like he was going to find out that Colin Farrell's character did something in the past that like went undisclosed, and he found out about it. So that's where I thought it was going. So it's just me.
But I don't know. I don't know if I'm a sick boy, but I thought it was pretty funny. One joke that kind of came to mind was like after he cut off his first finger, he's going to chop off the rest. The dog takes the scissors and he's like,
that pupper was adorable, by the way.
And just all the talk about him being dull was funny. The one thing that shocked me was that one kid dying. Like he just like fell in the river or whatever.
Oh,
I was like, oh dang, I wasn't expecting that, but no, I wish I had seen this before into the end of the year podcast, because it would have definitely been on my list. I don't know. I just had a really good time watching this. Not really much to say besides like Alex was saying, like all the performances were really good. I think Colin Farrell did like really well in this movie. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. So that's what I thought.
I was like, it's a very sad movie, but a sad tale. Joe's like, it's a fun romp.
I was tickled. And I ate some food. It was fun.
A little jaunt in Ireland.
It was funny. It was definitely funny.
Movies.
I will pass it off to, who do I never pass to? Thomas, I guess. I don't know. Go.
Okay.
This is getting weird.
It is getting a little odd, yes, much like this movie. So I had to rewatch this because when I first watched it, I watched it with my mother, my aunt, my grandfather, and they would not shut up for the entire freaking movie.
What is wrong with them?
Like every time they would make it, like someone would make a decision, somebody would be like, well, that's stupid. Well, I wouldn't do that. That's stupid. Why are these people doing this? Do these people not work a day in their life? I was just like, please, just let watch the movie. And so getting off of that experience, I did rewatch it. I did enjoy it a lot more this time that I could actually understand. And we had subtitles too, and I was still having trouble like following like the dialogue, like what's happening now? I don't who's Pardick? Who is Pardick again? So but yeah, this movie was really good. Not my favorite of McDonough's, because I think that's how you say his name. I think In Bruges is probably still my favorite one. Maybe seven Psychopaths. That's another really good one. But this one got melancholy really, really well. Especially there's an Irish type of melancholy that this type of movie really, really portrays well. I especially love the cinematography for this was absolutely gorgeous. Like if you didn't want to live in Ireland, this movie kind of like tempts you a little bit. Like, hey, guess what? We have some great spots. But yeah, I think my favorite performance was the guy the kid that played Dominic. I really liked his character. One scene I like kind of broke my heart was when he asks the sister, would you ever, consider, loving me? And she's like, no, I'm sorry. He's like, well, that dream's dead. I was like, oh my God.
Go kill myself.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is that they never really say if he killed himself, because you have people like there's like a few people that they saw that were just like hovering over the cliffs of wherever they're at. It's like one step and they're gone. But this movie was just I think Alex is very introspective, I guess. Is that how you say it? Just on, what really matters in a friendship, and is it worth it to have this person in my life?
It was a sadder scene to me when Colin Farrell and the kid were talking, and he tells him how he told that guy that he told him his dad was hit by a bread van. And by the way, that scene is hilarious.
Yeah.
But he tells him, yeah,
if it's the same guy, I'll kill him.
He told him that his dad got hit by a bread van, and he's like, oh, you did that? And he's like, I used to think you're like the nicest guy, and now you're just like everyone else. And I was like, dang. I think because it's like, I always consider myself pretty nice, and like if someone told me that, I'd be like, "Dang it!"
That would break my heart if someone told me that.
Yeah.
What breaks my heart? Getting rejected by a girl.
That's happened so much, I don't even care anymore.
I'm used to it.
We'll talk about Next movie.
But yeah, this was a very well done movie. Kind of glad I got something out of it different than what I was expecting, because that was kind of nice. Because you watch a trailer, you're like, oh, I know what I'm getting myself into, and then I watch this movie, I'm like, that's not what I thought it was going to be about, and I'm actually pretty happy with that. Man, when that donkey died, that was sad though. That was
very sad. Yeah.
I was like, no, because he like adores that little donkey, and it adores him too. And it was so sad when he was just like dragging it around, like, don't worry. I'm just like, no, just stop. So
I like when the horse knocked down her bell, and he's like, just puts it back up.
But yeah, this was a really good movie. I'm glad I rewatched it, because man, that first viewing experience, oh my god, I almost left. I was like, I can't do this. But yeah, I really liked it. So let's go to, I guess, Michael.
Okie dokie. I wish I had rewatched it actually, like Thomas, because Alex and I, because we watched it quite a while ago, not realizing we're going to talk about it eventually. And so a lot of it is foggy, but you guys talking about it helped me remember a few things. But yeah, similar to Alex, I went in not having, like, I didn't remember the trailer before the movie. I was like, oh, I just, it's them too. And I remember In Bruges, and I was like, okay, I like that movie, so I assume, it'll be fun, whatever. But, and like Alex said before, I've always had a mistaken point of view of Colin Farrell, because I had just seen movies that weren't very good and that he was in, and I was like, oh, it's kind of a flat performance, whatever. And just things I've seen recently, like one of my watch lists we'll talk about, and then this one, he is such a good, charming person, especially in these type of roles. He does such a good job playing that kind of, especially in this, that kind of innocent and endearing character. But I'm also with Alex, like this I don't remember if you said it specifically, but it's such a sad movie. And it's interesting in the perspective, because if they put this in any other setting, I feel like it wouldn't work nearly as well. But the kind of simplistic lifestyle and everything they have set in this, it's like it can focus so much on, because like in that kind of world, all you have is either work or relationships. Like there's no movie theater, there's no plays, there's nothing to go out and do or distract. It's just people, relationships, and beer. Beer, there you go, and alcohol, yeah,
sure.
And so to kind of empathize with that idea of Colin Farrell's character, like just being like his world stripped away from him, is so sad and heartbreaking. But at the same time, you also not empathizing with the way he did it, but with how Brendan Gleeson's character wants something more, wants to mean something, have something important, stuff like that. It's like that's also so like each character is so empathetic and like and strikes a different like chord of personality or thought path in my head of things that you think about. And the same with the boy's character and how like he like takes his one shot after seemingly a long time, and like Thomas said, like it's just crushing to see him like, oh well, that was it just seemed to be like it was something that he'd been building up to for so long. He'd always kind of try to talk to her, and then finally that moment hits, and he's like, and he like tries to play it off like it's no big deal, but inside he's like a avalanche is falling on his heart and crushing it with rocks, and it's just like, dear Lord, I don't know. It's such a subtle movie. I feel like that's probably why Alex liked it a lot, because of how subtle it is. Apart from the finger cutting off and throwing at doors and burning houses, but the like undertone of like relationships and everything is, I don't know. It's a very, very well done movie. But like I said, this is one I would like to rewatch, because a lot of it I don't remember as much. And so I would have definitely more to say. What is it, Thomas?
So you said about relationships, something about that is when I forgot his name, not Pardick. I think his name's Gleason or Colm.
Colm, yeah.
The violin player, the guy's cutting off his fingers. He like has that big confrontation in the pub about like, you know what? It's like, you're just nice. Like nothing about you matters. Like you're not, you mean nothing. You're just nice. And then Pardick has that really, really good speech about, it's like, who was nice? My mom. Who was nice? My dad. Who was nice? My grandfather and everybody else. I'm nice. It's like, I remember those. It's like, I don't care if anybody else remembers me. I remember those people. And that means a lot to me. And I really like that scene.
That was good.
But you're talking about relationships as a very one-on-one thing. Like other people's relationships doesn't matter, but the one-on-one matters. So
yeah, it's such an interesting contrast of that, like being great to people you don't know, versus being great to the one like people close to you. It's such an interesting contrast and interesting thing to balance out because like I feel like we can all kind of empathize with Brendan Gleeson's the Columns character of wanting to do something and make something lasting, whatever that people can be inspired by or whatever the heck like that. But you also want to have these close knit relationships. So that kind of like they're just the two absolute opposites without a care for the other in this movie. And it's so interesting, but I don't know, really great performances. It was very funny, like just enjoyable, endearing, quirky and weird. And then the weird, like over the top violence is such an interesting choice to make of like, why fingers? Why throw them at the door? Why all this weird, ridiculous stuff?
Well, it just like 1 finger, 2 finger,
all the fingers,
3 finger, 4 fingers.
It's just like, I don't know.
That made me crack up.
He's just standing there, pulling him out of his pockets. And the fact that he like walks back and they're like,
yeah, I like that look on their face. I'm like,
what is this? His hand is
why did he do that?
I don't know. But yeah, very enjoyable film. And thought provoking, yeah. So we'll throw it to Joseph to close this one out.
Yeah. Who would have thought Colin Farrell would be in 2 of the best movies this year? Especially after Penguin, because
I was like, what was the other one?
he was the Penguin and very forgettable,
True.
I think, as the Penguin. But this movie, like Jared said, was funny. It had me chuckling. Especially that one part where where they're first in the pub and he's like telling, like, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to chop off my finger and I'm going to send it to you. And then I was cracking up during that part. And then other part I was cracking up is when he's at confession. And then,
that's so good. I forgot about that.
And he's like, well, I'm not going to forgive you this time. And he's like, well, I better not die or I'm screwed, aren't I? Oh, man, that made me laugh so hard. So, yeah, funny movie. For me, I was picking up on this thing about like the futility of conflict. Because during the whole movie, there's like in the background, there's a civil war going on, like just across the lake or whatever that is. So for me, it's kind of like making a statement on like how destructive like these little conflicts are, even when they seem pointless. Because like war can seem pointless to the people fighting it, and also it seemed kind of pointless in their position. Because I mean, you don't have to just like cut the guy off like all of a sudden. Just like, it seemed a little weird at first that he was just like so mean to this guy that they were like best friends and he's just going to cut him off. And you get a little more backstory of that he's been going through. I forget what they call it, but when he talks to the priest, he calls it. He asks him like, "Is the dread back or whatever?"
Despair.
Despair, yeah. So, and then if he feels he seems like a very unfulfilled man, just because. He wants to do well in his music, but no one knows him. He's unknown and wants to make a name for himself. And he feels like maybe this friend is holding him back from being excellent since he's so like boring. And so yeah, it's very thought provoking, like you guys said. Kid dying.
I do like how they don't. It shows him like. He doesn't completely like just like he wants to do more, but he doesn't like hate the guy because like when he gets punched, he like helps him back on the carriage and they ride together until he gets to his home. Like he was upset that the donkey died, so he didn't like hate the guy. He was doing it desperation. He wanted to like go ahead, Thomas.
When you're talking about like a very unfulfilled life, like the sister and him both have a very these two people are a bit more elevated in like their thought processes than like everybody else on the island. Like the sister's learned, he's learned, but with him, he's like determined to like make something of himself, but just stay right where he's at. And her, she's determined to make something of herself, but move past just the island. And I don't know, like I don't know if that says something about his character. Like he wants to like move past it, but he seems like the only thing he's blaming it on is Pardic, not his own self. And so that's why he's saying choosing to stay there and have all of those students and stuff come to him instead of him going off and actually doing something. So,
and it's interesting how they kind of have a connection where they can kind of like sense it in each other that they feel like they're wasting their lives. So that was interesting. The kid, Dominic, interesting. He reminded me a lot of the Green Knight character he played in that movie. This troublemaker on the road.
The 40-year-old, 14-year-old.
Yeah. And his death for me, because they like find him in a river, and the whole time this war is going on, it's kind of how like young people just kind of die during conflict, and they're kind of like the just casualties. Even though they're not like directly into the conflict and stuff like that. But yeah, man, this is a great movie. I think when we do the end of the year podcast next, we'll probably make the next few movies that we're watching eligible. So go back to how we used to do it and just rank our movies that we saw. So we'll have to see if these ones hold up. And before we go to our next one, I think it's time to play a game. Jared, what do we got?
What's in the box? Wait, can anyone do an Irish accent? Go ahead, Thomas. Say what's in the box, but Irish.
What's in the box?
Oh, I forgot to mention. Before we go there, the weirdest F-bombs I've ever heard drop.
What's in the effing box? I can't say it. I want to say it. Dang it.
Well, it's also there's the two different ones because they'd say the regular effing and they'd say like effing with an E.
Yeah.
It was very.
It's like when they got when they got more excited, they would say the E one, and so yeah.
And I know this is like kind of a swear word in Irish or whatever in Ireland, the gom or whatever they call it.
Oh, like, gom? Yeah.
Yeah. I love that word, dude.
It's like they supposed to say idiot, right?
Yeah, like idiot or like yeah. But I love that word, dude. They kept saying it. I was like, this is awesome.
But it was like it's like I say freaking a lot, so it was like they were saying freaking a lot, and then when he got serious, he had to like drop the real F-bomb.
What if he's been saying the F word the whole time? We've just been hearing freaking. So, Joseph, you have a potty mouth.
So I just have to put that in there. But we're going to play What's in the Box. This is our game we play where I have an imaginary box and I put imaginary stuff in it. Well, they're not imaginary. It's just I don't have access to the real stuff. So then they're in the box. So it's movie related, and I give these guys clues, and they got to guess what's in my box. Anything fits in there, from Gizmo to the Titanic. So are you guys ready to play this round of What's in the Box?
Yes.
Do it.
Or I, if we're going with Irish.
I
think Joseph froze.
Joseph froze.
Did we lose Joseph?
On my screen, you guys froze. So.
Well, like he was like looking like.
He's like, I.
He's just waiting for Thomas to back
It's
up.
like you broke him, Thomas.
He just falls over.
First clue. What's in my box? Was born in 1996. What's in my box? Holds a Guinness World Record. The person in my box has directed a short film named Tweet.
Named what?
I missed that bit.
He directed a short film named Tweet.
Tweet.
The person in my box was diagnosed with dyslexia at age 7.
Was born in 1996?
1996. The person in my box will star as Fred Astaire in an upcoming movie.
Oh, Tom Holland.
Yes, correct, Mike.
Wait.
Yes, Michael, you're correct. Don't take it back.
But Tom Holland's not born in 1996.
was.
Oh wait. I have dyslexia, and I was thinking 69 the whole time. Go ahead.
Oh my God, are you playing Fred Astaire?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was literally every time you said it, I heard 1969 every single time,
Oh, okay.
You got
and I was like,
you gotta
wait, hold on.
get some medicine for
Yes,
that.
I have
or
a problem with that.
But I was
Also-
like, did Michael win? Because I'm confused here. Because he's like not sure if he won or not.
Because I was like, wait, that's impossible. Tom Holland's not that old. But then that was just my own
He's ageless.
fault.
Guys, I don't want to be in last. This has got to stop.
Are we
Okay,
keeping
so
the scores
Michael-
from last time?
Yeah, so Michael wins. He gets a point. He's got 4 points now.
Wow.
Alex has 6 points. Jared's got 11.5 points. Thomas has 14.5 points. Tom Holland holds a Guinness World Record. He was 20 years old when he first starred in a MCU movie, he has the title role in an MCU movie. He directed a short film named Tweet. He made his film debut in The Impossible. And yeah, he's going to be Fred Astaire. So we'll see his dancing chops again because he
Fred
started
Astaire.
off dancing. So
Doesn't really look like Fred Astaire. Fred Astaire looked like 50 years old even when he was in his 20s.
They all did back then. This is-
All right.
All right, Thomas, do you want to introduce the whale?
I will introduce the whale as soon as Jared walks away from us.
Let's say Jared ran off, so we didn't have to do it.
I know, right? Okay, The Whale is the 2022 movie directed by Darren Aronofsky, starring Brendan Fraser and Sadie Sink and Hong Chow. From our other movie, The Menu, she was the maitre d / sous chef. I don't know, the second in command. Anyway, this is her. This is a story about a man named Charlie who is going through a I guess a depression would be a very easy way to say that. And the way that he is taking it out on himself is that he's basically overeating, and it looks like he's eating himself to death. He's like over 600 pounds is what they say he is. I'm not sure if he's quite that big, but he's pretty large in this one. And Charlie knows that his life is kind of winding down just from the prognosis that, you know, what's her name? Hong Chow's name, or I forgot her name.
I don't know why Lucy's in my head, but it's not Lucy.
It's not Lucy. Liz. There you go.
Yeah,
Thank you. Close, but not quite.
No.
Yeah, Liz is his best friend, who's also a nurse and helping him just basically survive, is what she's doing. But during all this, Charlie is trying desperately to reach out to his daughter. And his daughter's a bit of a delinquent, I guess, if we want to put it like that. She doesn't really want to have anything to do with him because, spoilers for everything we talk about. I think we talked about that. He actually left his wife and daughter for one of his students who's also a man. And kind of had that whole explosion of, you know, your life that happens. And he's desperately trying to reconnect with her before he dies. Charlie's also a creative writer, teacher, and he knows that just through his daughter's essays and who she is as a person, that she is, excuse me, incredibly intelligent and knows how to write very, very well. So boiling all this down anyway, is that he basically eats himself to death, tries to reconcile with his daughter, his ex-wife, also this other guy, I think his name's Thomas, this this teenage evangelist, I guess, is wannabe missionary, that accidentally walked in on him having not a great time with a computer.
I was going to say the unluckiest Mormon ever.
I'm about to say like a very unlucky Mormon there, but anyway, but through all this, and then eventually through your interpretation of the film, he dies and he actually connects with his daughter. So that's like kind of the rundown, because there's not much to this story. It's a very by like the numbers story, like bam, 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 this happens. The thing about this movie is the performances, and this is some amazing performances from Brendan Fraser, I believe is how he's supposed to say it. I don't know. Including Sadie Sink. She was amazing in this. I'm sorry, not Sadie Sink, Hong Chow. Liz, I loved her in this. I thought she was great. Especially the conversation that she has with Thomas on the patio about kind of the backstory of what happened with Charlie and her and his, lover, who turns out was actually her brother, and her falling out and their crisis of faith, and his crisis of faith is what led him to dying. And they never really give specifics on how her brother died. Like they kind of hint that it was suicide, but also he was also starving himself. It's like the opposite of Charlie. So you're never fully informed on what happened. You just kind of get little snippets of it. This movie was incredibly emotional for me. Just it's a very honest movie about, portraying somebody with an eating disorder and someone with weight problems. And I'm not going to put it on myself, but I've had weight problems all my life. I'm a big guy. Like I'm a big guy, and a lot of that self-hatred is very evident in this movie, and I can see that from Brendan's performance in this. There are parts of the movie I just couldn't look at, like the part where he's trying to go to bed. Like going to bed is like almost killing him from the freaking turning off of the light. And this is hard to watch. But this movie was just very well done. I really liked the 4:3 aspect ratio, which I thought was kind of cool. Kind of made the apartment look smaller than it was. You just got a really good feel of it was supposed to be like a set, like for a play, and it really worked well off of that. I'm trying to think of anything that could, I'm trying to get my thoughts on this because we hop in and stuff. The part where Sadie Sink's character, he asked her to write something, just write something, and I don't care what it is, and she writes I hate you, whatever kind of thing on that notepad, and he looks over and he's like, oh man, she just hates me. But then he starts counting the syllables, and it's a haiku. She was able to express herself in a creative way, and he really appreciates that she has a creative mind. I really liked that because I was counting the syllables, is that a haiku? And then he was doing the same thing with his. I was like, oh, that's really cool. The confrontation scene that he has with his wife or his ex-wife was really, really well done. Because these two people obviously loved each other, even though if it was a different kind of love. And he tries to explain that, but she doesn't want to hear it. And you get that. You're basically telling me that you were lying to me this whole time. But he does care for her, and she does genuinely still care for him. And it was just very hard to see that he was in a place where she just couldn't help him anymore. And especially that ending part where it's in the trailer, and I was like, we're going to see this. But it still was just impactful seeing it in the scene as it was in the trailer. That was a great, great scene. I loved it. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to do before I hand this off. Yeah, I think it's about it. Maybe, there's one part where he has a kind of an emotional breakdown and writes or emails his students, just, F it, write something honest, just something honest. And when he's going through some of their letters, and one of them, and I don't remember the exact wording, but the message was I think my life isn't going to be that great. Not oh, I hate my life or whatever. It's just, I don't think my life is going to be anything special, at all. And that really got me, because I was like, man, I've had those exact thoughts and feelings, just, going through everyday life. I'm, sweeping up something is this really all I'm going to be doing all my life? Is this? And just having a very honest, emotional reaction to it. So, yeah. So I'm going to turn this one over to Joe. Yeah, right. You went last, right? last
Yeah,
time?
I did.
Okay, you go first.
Okay. Before we get into it, I had one more thing about the last movie. Is the sister is Friday from the MCU.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she also has a role in Better Call Saul.
Who's Friday?
Friday.
Friday is Iron Man's AI.
Faraday.
Friday.
That's called Friday.
Is it Friday? I thought it was Faraday.
No.
I don't know. Okay.
Iron Man's AI.
Yeah,
The one that takes over Jarvis's place after Jarvis becomes a Vision.
Yes, you're right. Okay.
Okay, so back to the whale. For me, unfortunately, this movie drops into melodrama a little too much for me. I mean, it starts off pretty good. I was invested into it. It seemed like he was really struggling, and it was going to be a movie about him struggling and connecting with his daughter. And it is, but it's just like it's overacted. I think a lot of it has to do with the writing. It just feels like they're trying to tug on your heartstrings, and for me, it didn't really work. One part that really kind of bugged me was this part where it's like I think it's his last it's his last lecture, and he like, you guys been honest with me, so I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to turn on my camera. And it's just so I didn't like this at all, because if you were in real life, you would see this guy and you're like, oh, it's just a fat guy. But the students have this like he's horribly disfigured, and he's not horribly disfigured. He just looks like an older guy that's got some weight on him. The kids' reaction to this are just so unnatural, because they're like going, oh my god, oh no. And it's so stupid. One of those suck-up kids would have been like, oh, nice to see you. We finally get to see your face. And, they would have tried to make him feel good. And, because he's obviously had an effect on these students. And so either these people are the most shallowest students of all time, or I don't know. That part really took me out of the movie, and I was just kind of furious after that.
I think,
and then there's
sorry, real quick.
And then the end. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, real quick on that. I think that immediately there's the girl in the top right of the screen that starts giggling, basically, she's laughing, and I was like, there are definitely some kids that would do that. But then it's everyone had a reaction that was similar.
Yeah.
I feel like most people would probably be like, oh, huh.
Yeah. You'd just be like, huh? There'd be kids that didn't care.
Yeah.
And then kids that were like, oh, hi.
Well, most kids would probably be like, oh, yeah, you're real big. Connect the dots. Yeah, that's why you didn't want to have the camera on you this whole time. But then everyone has to either there's a girl that starts filming him, and the girl.
It's just so unnatural.
Again, I think that there would be a couple of those, but it's everyone did that. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Then another part is the ending. For some reason, I had it in my head, and I'm like, this guy's going to fly at the end. And he does. He flies at the end. I don't know if that was in his head, or it was just, I just knew the movie was going to end that like that. And I'm like, oh no. When they finally did it, I was like, oh, brother, I got to leave. But yeah, Brendan Fraser, I guess you want to say it. He does do a good job with what he has, I think. And the movie does try to go on a deeper level. I don't think it's very successful. I do like the parts where you keep seeing a shadow cross behind his window. I thought that was really cool. I liked how the bird, he would leave food out for the bird and would take the food and stuff like that. So I think this movie could have done with a lot more subtlety. It's just, I don't really believe the reaction that these people are doing. Even the main characters, like the daughter, when they get into talking about her, and she's like, she's evil, and he's like, no, she's not. That was a little much for me too, where it got into melodrama. It's just I don't know. It's just, it didn't feel honest to me. Talk about honesty. He's kind of selfish, I mean, I know he went through something, but they do have, the mom and daughter do have good points about saying that he's selfish, because like the daughter like wants him. She seems like she wants him to like kind of do better for himself at times, even though they kind of hint that it's kind of fake too. But so when she tells him like, get up and walk over here, it seemed like she kind of wanted him to do better for himself, and maybe she was saying, well, look at you, don't even want to try. So I got kind of that from that, and then yeah, she makes a good point that he could have reached out to her, even though the mom was blocking it the whole time. And I mean, the mom has a good point. He did leave them for someone else, and he could have like done that better instead of like inviting the guy in front of the daughter to have steaks. That does seem really weird to me, because you know kids pick up on everything, so you can't be sneaky around kids. So yeah, I know this movie, what it was trying to do, it just didn't work for me. And it has good parts, like the cinematography is pretty good. I like how dreary it looked. For a long time, I thought they were like on a like
Island.
yeah, like
Yeah.
with water around, because it's always raining, and it just looked like. And then they're like, "How's Idaho?" And I was like, "Idaho, this is Idaho." I did like that, how that was shot, but overall it didn't work for me. So next we will go to Michael. How about you go again?
We'll take it the different contrast completely to you. So if I had seen this last year, it would have been my favorite movie of the year, easy, hands down.
Wow.
Like this is probably my top movies of all time. It is a movie that most movies like this I wouldn't want to watch again. I definitely plan to watch this multiple times. And okay, so to preface this, before we literally just saw this movie. We literally got home, we watched the trailers, and we got to the podcast.
You're on that high right
thoughts-
now, Michael. Ride that.
My thoughts are not formulated in the slightest of this movie, but holy bananas, this movie hit hard for me. Holy bananas. And it's interesting because I kind of agree and disagree with what Thomas said about the story being like, here's a story, blah, 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 there's your beats for it. Because they lay that out in the beginning very, very simply, like, hey, this is the big guy and we're going to watch his struggles in life. And you kind of get that idea. But there are so many layers I didn't expect to this movie, with each of the characters that I didn't expect this movie, that hit over and over again in different ways of just like the weird perspectives on it. And it, to me, this movie did such a good job putting you in the thought process of other people, putting you in other people's shoes. And I'm not just saying like someone struggling like a big guy. Like I feel like that's the easy, like, oh, the movie's about that. And I really don't think it is in the slightest is about him or his situation or anything like that. It's gosh, I need to watch this movie multiple times. I'll definitely have to come back and talk about this again when I rewatch it, because I'm definitely not formulated on this at all. Because like literally said, we just saw it and like, I don't know. I didn't expect it to hit that hard. Like I remember we were halfway through the movie and I was like, I don't know where I am with this movie, but I'm not like, because I always have that check in my brain. Do I want to leave? Am I thinking about at the time that I wanted to be short? And I was like, no, I am full. I remember stopping thinking I'm full into this. And I was like, just focus on that point on. And man, gosh, dear Lord, it is. Yeah, this is gonna be hard to do without more time to think about it. Because like there's so many interesting things that they do. I feel like this movie has so many like mimicking layers. Like they have the what's it called? The essay she wrote that you don't realize until the very end that she wrote this essay that he keeps reading, and he wants, like, the movie starts off with Thomas knocking on his door and he was, doing things on his computer, and then he starts having basically a heart attack, whatever, or he can't breathe and he's hyperventilating, and he hands him, and he's like, read this note. And I agree with Joseph. It is very overdramatic. This movie is very extra, but I feel like it's so intentionally that way. And I also very much enjoy it. It's almost metaphoric in a lot of senses of how it is. It's like how someone like me thinks in my mind. Like when I think of approaching a situation dramatic, like in a sense of like being honest, something like that, I think of the most dramatic way to do it. And I'm like, this is how my mind works whenever I think of situations like this. Like if I was going to go talk to someone, like, it's not going to be honest. It's going to be, over the top, bombastic, and ridiculous. I'm like, I'm not actually going to do that, but like, that's what I like to see. So having it kind of painted for me in this sense totally speaks to me. Absolutely, it's all for me. It's like even the stuff that I've written that Alex and I are working on, it's like so over the top and ridiculous. But and so in that kind of metaphoric way, but that and that's another thing I wish I had. Like, I wish I had that in front of me of all the words, because I was trying to piece together all the metaphors that he was putting back and forth, because they have that weird line. Because it's like, the whole movie, or at least it felt to me the whole movie. It's like Sadie Sink's character isn't bad. Like that's the whole thing of like she puts all those weird things out, but then like the kid, he's like, I think she was trying to help me. And he seems a little ridiculous. Like he's like, like he's very, to put it bluntly, like easy to satiate, and in that sense of like whatever. But the line that Brendan Fraser says whenever he starts basically like hallucinating, and he starts reciting the poem and then talking to Liz about it, and he talks about how she's trying to help him get where he's going, and it was such a weird way to put that, in that thought of like she's like strangely trying to comfort him, and it just balances out with several things throughout the movie that I like. I keep saying I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this 4 or 5 times just to understand all my thoughts on it, and even if I'm correct or at all. But go ahead, Thomas.
Something you brought up, and I can't believe I didn't bring up, is her essay about Moby Dick. I loved that essay. That was fantastic.
It's terrible.
No, it's not that it's written like horribly. It's just what he sees in her is. Oh, okay. Is the potential to be, not the potential to be intelligent, but he sees her intelligence in that essay. And then the fact that it was written by like an 8-year-old, yeah, of course it's terrible. But
it's a terrible essay, man. She's using the first person.
Okay, Joseph as an educator, get out of here. Get out of here.
Well, I feel like going off.
No wonder you hate this. It's all about college students. You hate them.
I feel like going off that, it's like, that's a very literal way to think about it, when really I feel like something this movie tries to put so much, like I said, is being in other people's shoes or having empathy for other people. And I feel like in the sense of, even though she's a child and she's lashing out, how she wrote that is she like sees the empathy of the guy going after the whale and also sees the empathy of the whale. It's like these two, almost like we talk about with the Banshees of Inisherin, whatever they say it, like the empathy of the guy losing everything in his life, but just wanted to be comforted, whatever. And then the guy who wants more out of his life, but doing the wrong thing about pushing it away. They're both wrong in how they treat the situations, but like aren't inherently wrong in a weird sense. And I don't know. It's such an interesting movie with each character that they deal with, and I don't know. I don't even know where to go. I don't know. I thoroughly thought it was incredible. Thought it was so deep, so like just personally deep, and I didn't realize it was going to be this like one room shot thing. Basically, I saw the trailer. I realize I have really bad memory with trailers. Like I remember just that line that he said that I feel like most people are inherently good, and that's about all I remember. And so I didn't realize it was kind of all set there, and I expected to go out or him to like, and I kept wondering the whole time. I was like, is like the movie going to do the turn where she's like, no, I want you to, like, the only reason he does get better is because she makes him take the money to do it or something like that. But I don't know.
That scene too, when she comes back and she thinks that he wrote like a whole new essay about something else, and it turns out he's just wanting her to reread her old essay too. I really like.
How did she not look at that? That bugged me too. It's like, how did she not look at that and see that it was her? It's just like,
I feel like it kind of.
We get it. You don't like it, Joe.
I feel like that shows her absolute like not caring about any of the situation.
But she's very perceptive. Like the movie's always telling us that she's so perceptive. She picks up on this stuff.
Wait, whoa.
She doesn't pick up on that.
What are you talking about? Because the essay that he gave her, she didn't even look at all. She just turned it in.
Yeah.
That's what Joe's saying. Why didn't she look at it?
Yeah, because she knows she failed it because he told him, and she's like had it in her hand when she.
Well, I mean, you could theoretically just assume that she just looked at the F and was like, "Well, screw this." Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure because she recognizes almost immediately when she starts reading it that it's hers.
Yeah, that's what confuses me, because they go out of their way to tell her how smart she is, how perceptive she is, and then she doesn't look at it, look at it. Like the first page or something.
I just think she was like, hey, this is my dad. I don't even like my dad. I don't want to think about my dad. I'm going to use him to get this grade. To me, it seems like believable, where it's like, I don't even want to look at what he wrote. To me.
I don't think she sees him like that, though. Like,
I think she thinks that she sees him that way. she's lying to herself.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people are lying to themselves in this movie.
Well,
Like the nurse, man, she's totally an enabler. She's a terrible.
Oh, yeah.
nurse.
Yeah.
that's what I feel like
Well-
honestly makes them good characters.
That's exactly, and that to me, this one and Brendan Fraser also really made the point is that a lot of these characters are. It's not that they're inherently evil. It's just that they are people that are continuing to make the wrong decisions in their life. Like he's continuing to make the wrong decision to, leave his family, overeat. Liz is enabling her or him. Sadie Sink is purposely lashing out in the wrong way, even though she has the capacity to, fix things. And even when she like fixes Thomas's life, I think part of it was like, yeah, she was pretty spiteful about this, but she ended up doing the right thing in the end. And even though she didn't intend to at first, I think she recognized that she could actually help him. And even Thomas,
she even did though. I don't think that was her intention.
I feel like so you saying that kind of reminded me of my thoughts during the movie is like going from like the two of the characters, Brendan Fraser's character and his daughter, are very much on the same side, but the extreme different opposites. Because Brendan Fraser is this optimistic kind, but he doesn't like BS. Like he's like he has that whole rant about say something honest, be honest, let's speak from the heart. Like truth, as they use the word truth a lot. And she's almost the exact way to where it's not like I don't think she intentionally tried to make the Thomas kid's life better. She just was so frustrated and she hates BS that much that she just puts it out there. Like, yeah, like this is you're so fake. Like that kid is so fake, beyond fake. And she's like, this is I do not want your ball. It's that kind of, I don't know, just in your face, just.
Yeah, and that's why she's like always taking pictures of them and stuff.
It's just
to see the real them and not.
So it's like the two extremes of being honest in this like horrible, harsh way and this overly kind way of it's so interesting. I don't know. Oh, this movie. But to go off a couple things that did bother, I agree with you, Joseph, on the webcam thing. It's like, who would you get and why did you direct him to do that? Like just I don't know. Just focus on his camera, cut out the other ones. Just leave it to our imagination, their reactions. And then the other one that actually bothered me more was Dan's reaction, the pizza guy.
Yeah.
Whenever he goes in, when he wheels out to the bench, and they didn't do it. What bothers me, they didn't do anything with it. Like, he just, like you knew something was off. Like he knew something was off and weird. And I don't like they didn't do it. Like I thought he was going to come back. I thought it was him that came back later after that scene. I thought he was going to apologize, but like, so I didn't mean to whatever, something like that, but it was Thomas that came back and I was like, okay, whatever. Like they never did anything with that. And that does bother me that I thought that scene, but.
And like, yeah, he's big, but I've seen fatter people than this.
Yeah.
Guy. Like it's not like, oh my God, you know.
I mean, we have shows about 1,000-pound people, so it's not anything new or like.
Well, it's like also like Thomas said, he's supposed to be 600. I don't think he looks 600. So I'm assuming like our imagination should, or not our imagination, but like I think they meant to convey him to be bigger than he actually looks. But
yeah.
But yeah, and then going off of his, the actual performances and what they did with him were so intense. Like the when he would eat, as intentional and disgusting as it was, where he's basically just inhaling and breathing. And it's so, I had the weirdest idea, or the weirdest, the weirdest thought came to my head whenever he starts eating, like when he really goes down into panic mode and he starts going through the drawers and just shoving crap in his face. And he's putting ranch on pizza. And it's that weird, like that one sense, because everyone's freaking out, everyone's leaving. It's like the only control he can have is this. And so that's just what he goes to. Like it wasn't even so much like a self-harm kind of thing. It was just like that's the one thing he had control over. And so he chose to do it in a sense. It was, I don't know if that in any sense is true or vibes it anyway, but that's just like the thought that popped in my head. I was like, what a strange idea of like that. That's the only power you have. So that's what you choose. But I don't know. It's so freaking interesting. I don't know. I'll pass this off because I've gone on forever and I don't know what I'm talking about. But I don't know. I thought this movie was incredible and I will be back to talk about it more for sure. I'll just do that'll be like the only movie I watch for my watch list. And I'll watch it like 5 times just so I can get a full session with it and really dive into what the heck I'm talking about. But we'll throw it to Jared and we'll let Jared continue.
Oh, darn it. First of all, my experience with this was, I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, I like Brendan Fraser. Like me and Thomas love Blast from the Past and The Mummy. Those are some of our favorite movies. So we love this actor. And then I was very excited to see this movie. I've never seen him do like a serious role, and I wanted to see it. I wanted to be like, oh, sweet. This, because I know him from The Mummy, George of the Jungle, Encino Man. This guy's like a hilarious guy.
Dudley Do-Right, sir.
Dudley Do-Right. Looney Tunes Back at You, or whatever that was called.
Yeah.
Furry Vengeance. Anyway, so
Monkey Bone.
I was excited to see this, and then last weekend I saw it. And I intended to do other things that weekend. I had a date that I got stood up from, I guess. And then lately, like right now, I'm like the heaviest I've ever been. So that's been kind of weighing on my head. So I was like, oh, Thomas said this was pretty, like, you go alone, get a feel for this, kind of like, you'll really feel it. And it really made me more mad than anything. I was very disappointed in this movie. First off, I want to say Brendan Fraser, and I am going to call him Brendan Fraser. People get both my names wrong a ton, so I don't care.
True.
So I don't care about that. But
Whatever, Jerry.
Brendan Fraser's performance in this was awesome. Like, he did a really good job. But yeah, this movie was a huge disappointment to me. If Thomas talked about kind of like the writer or whatever to this, and how he went through the same problems, or he had the same experiences. If I didn't hear that, I would have called BS, because this felt like a skinny man writing for a fat man. It's just written like, it felt like a skinny guy that thought he knew the problems of a fat guy. He's never experienced that in his life. And it could be, I don't know this writer, so. But it just handled the overeating and the eating himself to death part like terrible to me. From someone that has gone through weight issues his whole life. I mean, I have diabetes. It's hard to stay on track. And this was kind of just like, I don't know, almost like a slap in the face kind of to that type of person. The second part I wanted to talk about was this movie's a little too Darren Aronofsky. Like, it has elements from his other movies, like The Wrestler. He's trying to reconnect with his daughter because he finds out like he's going through some health problems, and so he wants to reconnect before anything really bad happens. And then like the uncontrollable like overeating is kind of like Requiem of a Dream. Like, you can't stop the drugs. So I don't know. I felt like he just brought stuff from his other movies into this one. But yeah, like, it really bothered me. Like, this movie really bothered me. Like, it didn't feel genuine, even though it's preaching be honest. It felt very fake to me. The one part I did like is when everyone goes to the house, like Liz, his ex-wife, the daughter, and Liz finds out that like he has a ton of money. And she's like, dude, I was like walking here after work when my car was broken.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good.
And he didn't offer to like pay for it. And he's like, I did. And he's like, no. But yeah, I was like, oh man, that sucks for her. And then like the daughter's like fed up with it. The wife, you kind of see their relationship and how like they care for each other, but it just didn't work out the way they wanted. And both sides were there was some hurt feelings, and like he did a terrible thing kind of. And I thought that whole scene was really good. But that was like the only scene that really grabbed me. The rest of it, like, I was looking at the time when I was watching this movie. And I do want to give Brendan Fraser like all the like credit he deserves, because that was a great performance by him. But this movie, even though it's preaching all this honesty, felt very fake to me. It didn't seem honest at all to me. I'm sorry to say that, because I know you guys had very emotional connections toward this movie, so I don't really like bragging on it. But for me, it's a very negative movie to me. And the fact that like none of these people, not one of these people, and it could happen, but not one of them tries to make their lives better. It's just like they kind of want to wallow in their like self-pity and their bad situation.
It seems a lot of like victimhood going on.
Yeah.
All these people. Which is, I guess that could be honest, but it's not fun to watch.
But like I said, I've gone through some of these problems, and like I'm an optimistic person, so I can't really talk, but I always try to, like, I'm right now trying to be better about my weight and like diabetes and stuff like that. But this is just like too much. It was like not one person is trying to see the good side at like any point. I don't know. I don't want to rag on too much, because if people are getting like positive feelings from this, like Michael and Thomas, I want to encourage that. But for me, it was very negative. I really did not. I have a very bitter taste in my mouth from this movie.
I wouldn't say it was a positive experience, but I feel like I also took a different like approach with what I feel like the movie was saying to me that I'll get into whenever I rewatch it 5 times. But I can see from your perspective how like you going to the movie and seeing it in that sense. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, but
like I was saying earlier, like that to me wasn't what I thought the movie was about, was the overweight guy.
Yeah. But these actors did amazing. Each one of them, fantastic.
Dude, the kid who played Thomas, that one really surprised me.
His story kind of was good too, because he was struggling with like, faith and like his place in the world, and I felt that. But
like the twists with his story were unexpected and very good as well.
Yeah, I feel, for me, if they would have like maybe made that the focus of the movie, maybe it would have been a little better, like them wrestling over faith, because they do try to talk about faith in this movie, but it just seems very shallow to me. It's like the old argument, like how could a loving God let bad stuff happen to people? And that's just for me, it's just a very shallow argument that people make all the time. And I'd rather have a better discussion about faith than that. So that's just one way I would have improved it. Go ahead, Tom.
Something about that too is that for me, I'm sorry, I'm watching Michael. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was too.
For me, like even that whole discussion that Charlie has with Thomas about how could God make this like make a cruel world where the person I love is not the person I can be with, and he dies. For me, I really like that moment, because it seemed like he was actually making excuses, not Thomas. And he's the one that's clinging to the excuses, and instead of being honest with Thomas, like, hey, I'm the one that messed up here. I'm the one that messed up my life.
See, if I was in Thomas's shoes and he was coming at me with that, I would have been, you do disgust me. Try to do better. And
also, this is movie Thomas, not me.
The line I really liked about, if we're talking about faith, is when he's like, I hope there is no afterlife, because I don't want my lover to see who I became.
Jeez, yeah.
That hit hard. I like that. But I will throw it to Alex now, because I've talked enough.
Sorry, Alex.
No, you had great points. This is way more diverse than I would have expected. Because I am actually somewhere in the middle. I definitely am leaning more towards Michael and Thomas. This is by far the most emotional movie I've seen in a long time. Like more than Banshees of Inisherin. Like I didn't cry in this movie, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't like tearing up left and right during this movie. Man, God, there's so much to touch on that you guys talked about. The whole like, I agree, Joe, about that being a shallow argument, because I've said that before, where I have that question, and it's I've described it in the past as a childish question. It's like child puts his hand on the stove and is like, "Ow, why hurt?"
Yeah,
it is, but I don't think it's not a valid question. I think that it is the question of life in a lot of ways for me, where it's like, it's an unanswerable question. So that's why everyone asks it, because it's clear as day to everybody, but it's impossible to answer.
It's a very beginning question when you're like first thinking about religion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're right. It's pretty much like the first question you ask.
It's the first question you're asked and you never get an answer. I've never, ever heard anyone give a satisfactory answer, ever, in my whole life. And I'm not saying
if this was a different kind of podcast, I could argue with
Yeah. Oh, no, I could argue for and against it as well. Like, that's where I feel like once you delve into the depth of it, then it becomes a little bit less, or it displays how it's a shallow question in a lot of ways. But again, I don't think
hearing our new philosophy. That's good philosophy podcast.
You don't know how much I'd love that, but continue. Alex.
I'm sure I could.
This week on Nietzsche,
I'm sure I could learn a lot actually. But anyway, so I do think that that this movie is asking that question at times. But as far as like the movie itself, I really liked it. I think that the performances are absolutely fantastic, and I agree that it turns melodramatic at times, and that's where I don't like it, because I'm with Michael that I love drama. Like, my absolute favorite line in this movie, it is so good because it's presented so well, because the music swells, and it's whenever he's talking to his wife and he turns as she's leaving and he's like, "Tell me that I have done one good thing in my life." And I was just like, I'm getting chills right now thinking about it. I'm getting chills.
Yeah, see, for me, that was just way too melodramatic.
That line, though? So there are so many lines that I agree. Like, when she says their daughter's evil, I'm like, give me a break. Like, the things that she's done are not even remotely evil. They're lashing out. They're rebellious. It's so clearly like her pretending to not have empathy to hide her weakness from having empathy, in my mind. But that line struck me, because it's like because you got to think about where he is in this week, where he's overheard Liz say it several times. He knows he's almost dead. Like, and so I bought that line personally.
I think for me, what hurt it was like what the trailer was focused on, was that line. So that I keep thinking.
Oh, was that in the trailer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, don't remember that. Well, I'm glad I don't remember it, because it hit really hard.
I do not have a good memory for trailers.
Well, I remember what Michael said about that line. I don't have a good memory in a lot of the ways, but that line about wanting to believe that whatever, good people, whatever. See, I don't even remember the line, but I do remember it being in the trailer. Anyway, but yeah, a lot of performance, and I am with you, Joe, on some of it, because oh my God, the dialogue was so bad at the beginning of this movie. Later on, I think it gets better, but there's still moments. But there are lines where I felt so bad for that Liz actress, because I think she's good, but her lines were so bad at the beginning of the movie. Because, again, like, I like drama as long as it feels genuine and honest on the theme of the movie. And that's where, when it dipped into melodrama, it doesn't feel real. Like, people don't speak this way. Like, but even before it got to melodrama, when that Thomas dude first shows up and Liz is like, immediately spilling all of her like opinions about her like struggles and stuff with like that church and whatever. I'm like, people don't do this. Like, people do not immediately jump into, sorry, Michael, let me finish this real quick. People do not immediately jump into saying, like, I need to rewatch that scene, because that scene, I was just like, the dialogue was so unbelievable. I'm like, you just met this person. Like, people are way more subtle. People rarely say what they mean. So rarely. And that's why, even in my life, when I've said what I mean, it sounds melodramatic, because it's like, you know, like, people don't really talk this way. Like, I don't know. A lot of the dialogue in this movie I thought was so bad, but go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to say the counter to that. Well, one, I think she is a more of an honest person in this movie. And that conversation starts with her asking, like, where he's from, where does he go, and does he know this person? You're like, that's so weird, because she doesn't really give off that she's very against that, hates the place. But once he says, I'm from New Haven, wherever the heck it is, like, I think her connection from that made her blow up so badly that she's like, wanted to shove it in his face completely. Hey, I don't like this place. Don't talk about this place. Don't bring this place up. Go away.
Are you talking about the porch scene?
No. The first scene, whenever they first
she's
meet,
like smoking out the window.
She's like, where are you from? And he's like, oh, I'm from this. We're here to do this. She's like, oh, do you know Doug? And he's like, yeah. She's like, that's my dad. Get out, basically. Like, she like goes off after that, because that trigger. I feel like that triggered something in her. Just that is such a sore subject, because obviously what you learn later on,
the walls
I feel like that was
went up immediately.
Yeah, it's just like her forces came out to fight off whatever the heck that was, like what that brought up. But
that's a good argument. That's totally a good argument because that is real. But what I'm remembering is like I think even before that where maybe I just need to rewatch it. But there's a scene where she has like opening or shutting the window from when smoking and stuff, which is anyway. But and I was just like, this is so not realistic the way that this dialogue is. Anyway, I felt that way with a lot of dialogue, not all of it. Especially, I think it got better towards the end because I was like. I was watching this movie and I was like, did Darren Aronofsky write this? Because this is just at the beginning.
It was based on a play, so maybe.
Yeah. That's true. And you could totally see this being the play, even with I think someone, Michael or whatever, talked about the shadows on the window. Can't remember who talked about that, but that felt so play-like, which was cool.
That's Thomas.
Okay, sorry. And then anyway, but I don't think that there was ever a time where Brendan Fraser's acting to me felt very melodramatic. I guess the only time is whenever he's like wheeling toward Thomas in the corner of the room. I was just like, okay. Like in that whole scene, I really didn't like Thomas. I just felt like it felt like a play, I guess, which is fine. That's what it was. It didn't feel real to me. And there were a couple times where like Sadie Sink's like character, there was too many times where she would open up the door and then stop whenever he would say something. And I'm like, okay, it's a little melodramatic. I just don't feel like people behave this way. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely where the play came through because you can see that in a set play, whatever. And actually, if you allow me to contradict our opinions there, I actually loved that scene where he confronted Thomas because I expected the whole time I was like, they're going to make him yell to try and have this imposing big figure scream at him. And the fact they didn't, I was like, yes, like I love that so much that he never actually yelled at him. It was just like, because he's always been that calm kind of person. And I was so afraid they were going to make him yell. So I think maybe just that them not making him yell made me very happy.
And the fact that he's actually like lower than Thomas because he's in the wheelchair too. That the fact that he's looking up to Thomas too. And I actually like that scene too.
I don't remember really having any problem with. I more so meant that scene's melodramatic, and I'm trying to remember why, but I remember not liking what Thomas's performance for some reason.
Yeah, his was a little weird.
I do agree that there are some merit to his character, but I think that this character could be just booted out of this whole movie, and it wouldn't hurt it at all. I didn't really like this character. I think that it doesn't really make a ton of sense. Where it's like. I'm like, what? Well, his room, when he's in the room talking to her through the door, that scene was pretty neat. But I don't know. I just don't feel like he played a huge role. Dang it, man! There are so many things when you guys were talking. I think again there were melodramatic scenes from this actor, but I think that his wife maybe almost outshined him. Like there were scenes where I was just like, oh my god, you were so good. Because a lot of this movie, what I liked is that bitterness is such it's a difficult pill to swallow, man. It's like, especially when you think about like bitterness over a lifetime where you can see it in her freaking eyes, man. She is just like, because like she's clearly not a great mom, but I still feel like some like empathy towards her because it's like, you had this horrible thing happen to you and you seem like you're trying and you just don't know how to handle it. You just don't know how. Like you don't know how to handle a daughter who's hates you whenever you were the one that stuck around. I mean, that's got to be knifed right to the heart for her. And like, but a lot of this movie, like there's the bitterness and just the weight, the theme I got from this movie is the waste of life. Like it's just, his life was wasted. Her life was wasted. There is the danger and the very present danger of setting your daughter on a path of wasting her life. Mm-hmm. And that's just so sad. And like, and I feel like I get a little bit of the same feeling as I got from the Everything Everywhere All at Once mom in that movie, where I feel almost a little bit like defensive of this mom, where I'm like, yeah, you're not handling things well, but you have been dealt a really crappy hand. And I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree that interaction between those two felt the most genuine. When she's like, she basically says, you weren't there. I'm raising her. You don't have money. I have to work. I know I'm trying to raise her the best I can, and you were never there. So,
But she knew that he had money, right? She said it.
Yeah, because
she
they
didn't
knew that
want
he
it.
was making the account for her.
Yeah. Yeah, but
They talked about they had an agreement that she wouldn't get it till after she was 18.
Yeah, they did talk about that. But yeah, I agree, Joe. Like that felt genuine, I think, because immediately when she entered the scene, you felt history between them, which is really cool.
Yeah,
Man, that's so good when you can have actors pull that off. Yeah.
Well, and the fact that their dialogue felt so natural between each other, because they're just like, they're not really arguing. They're just kind of like, you know, they're talking like a husband and a wife would. It's almost like passive aggressive, but they're trying to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And it even starts kind of on good terms because it's like, you know, do you have anything to drink? It's like, yeah, up there.
Yeah. And then they have that great scene where they actually laugh together, and it's like, man, that is almost heartbreaking than their arguments. It's like, man, what you threw away kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And anyway, but yeah, the only scene I didn't buy with her is her calling her daughter evil. I'm like, geez, I was like, when she said that, I was like, man, what has this girl done? And then they show what she did. I'm like, like every public school kid will do that to all their other public school friends. I'm not saying homeschool kids don't do it. They just don't have any friends to do it too. But but public school, like, you know, that's got to be left and right all over the place. And that's what scene I was just like, give me a break. What, Michael?
I that's another where I feel like it's the interpretation of the word, because the interpretation from the word I got there was she's cruel. And so if they had said maybe she's cruel,
I would totally be
evil,
fine with that.
It would have seemed less dramatic, but that's the dramatic word to use, is evil, for that bombastic effect that the whole movie kind of carried. But like immediately when she said evil, I thought cruel. That was like immediately what came to my brain. So I guess, I don't know, I just was, that's the idea I got from it. But
why not use cruel? Because cruel is real. It's genuine. It is a believable thing. But when you say evil, I instantly was like, well, this got cartoonish.
It's a drum. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole movie. It's very over dramatized, very dramatic. It's like everything is
like
extra.
I don't like it. I love
it. I love it so much.
Trust me, I love drama. One of my favorite scenes in Prisoners is, you know, where he like smashes the hammer against a sink and all that stuff. I love drama.
Not dramatic. That's very
but that's
very real.
That's scary.
That's the thing is I love drama that feels real. As soon as you get melodramatic, I'm just like it all of a sudden it becomes fantasy to me, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. I was actually gonna say, like, there's a difference between like Shakespearean drama, which is supposed to be bombastic and like fanciful, and then there's stuff where they want to try to pull off in here.
Yeah.
That's basically on the human level.
But and it was a play, so I get that. Maybe they're trying to emulate some of that, and that's fine if that is your intent. But a lot of this movie is subtle too. So that's where I'm like, I don't really buy the bombastic side if you're going to be subtle too. So yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
I think part of like the criticism of that is that I don't think Aronofsky, because he did write the screenplay for it, he didn't write the story. I think he adapted it too much, or not adapted to. He adapted it too like faithfully. He didn't change up what should have been changed up. Like a lot of the dialogue is really, really good in some places, and then some of it's just like very stilted. You're just like, okay, that's obviously meant for a line for a play. Like you would have like an action turn here, then present, that kind of stuff. But
it's kind of interesting to see this play now. To see,
very interesting.
You used to be able to see it on YouTube, but they took all the performances off. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was because I watched the play after I watched the movie, and it's almost word for word too, and it's very, very different too. Like, it's kind of weird though, because some of the performances I saw from Charlie's character, the guy that I watched, his was very, very understated in his delivery. But I think Aronofsky did kind of whiff it a bit on this one, where he could have improved the dialogue or cut some of the dialogue out from the play to make this work in the movie, but he just kept it all. And I understand that criticism for it, because there's sometimes like the evil thing, I don't think the evil thing worked, but I did get what Michael was saying, was that when she said evil, I immediately associated with cruel. She's a very cruel girl. Like everything that she's doing to Charlie, to Thomas, to her mom, it's very malicious, very like just mean. And but yeah, that's my thing for it, I guess. My 2 cents.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. The only other things I want to touch on is like as soon as he was reading or had that guy read that essay, I was like, that's his daughter's. Just because I'd seen the trailer, I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, as soon as he started reading that, I was like, why is this special to him? Because it's his daughter's. And then the other thing, one of the other things is that when he was having her write in the spiral, I really thought I was convinced that she was going to write a poem called "The Whale" about him, and I was like, man, that would have been cool, but she didn't. And then one of the last things that her performance, I feel like was mostly hit. There was a couple of misses again, just the over dramatized things.
Yeah.
But then there were times where I feel like they could have gone more. Like when that last scene with both of them, whenever she's more towards like the window as opposed to by the door, she gets pretty emotional and it's really good. Like I was just like, okay, like you're killing it right now. And then they have her go to the door and then she starts reading the poem to him. And then he stands up, which is what she wanted, starts walking towards her. And I really feel like they should have had her get a lot more emotional. I feel like that would have hit way harder, but she's just kind of reading it. And I felt like if she had, really started breaking down, that would have been really good. Because in that, like right before then, she's breaking down. And it's so good. Yeah. I think that is all that I had to say. Okay.
Okay, Thomas.
I have one question for all of y'all. So now that you've seen this movie, because I know like our for our Oscars stuff, like I know we're like coming up on that. My shoe-in for last year would have been Austin Butler, but then now I saw this one. Do you think that Brendan's going to win now?
No.
Yes.
We're not considering anything you say, Joe. You hate this movie.
It's definitely between them two as far as I can tell.
That's what I'm thinking. It's going to be a pretty big race, I think.
I would be surprised if Austin Butler got this. And I thought Austin Butler was incredible.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. I loved Austin Butler in Elvis, but I think Brendan just edges him out a bit.
I'm so glad we haven't finished this topic yet, just because I forgot something I really wanted to say. So sorry, Thomas, I'm cutting you off, but
You're good.
There's that scene. I hated this scene. Whenever he does start to go crazy eating, which I believe that. Like I believe that people, that if they deal with depression or whatever, and they eat, and maybe it's just me, just because I maybe like Jared is talking about how that he feels like he can relate to this somewhat, and that he felt like it wasn't genuine. Whereas me, like I'm the opposite. I'm like whatever the hell his like partner's name was. Like where like if I get depressed, I eat less. I it's just how I deal with it, I guess. Food doesn't sound good to me, all that kind of stuff. But to me, I bought that people probably eat that way, where it's just like I just numb the pain, just get my pleasure from this food. But the music of that scene where he's like pouring the ranch on the pizza in the fridge, and it's just like it's dipping into like this horror movie. It's like this like, and I was like, what is this music? It totally took me out of it. And I was like, maybe this is Darren's like, because this movie's very subdued compared to his other movies. I was like, maybe this is just his style coming out in a scene that he wants to be a little bit more. But man, I hated the music in that scene. Other than that, I bought a lot of the stuff like him pulling the candy bar and trying to convince himself he puts it back in the drawer. And you can see that there are some that are in their wrappers still, or like half torn wrappers. So you can see I like that because it shows he struggles with it frequently. But yeah,
eat the pizza crust though. That's
that bugs me. I'm like, man,
Some people don't.
why do people not eat
That pizza look
crust?
good,
Yeah,
though.
ranch though. Pizza look
I
great.
think that pizza look good.
Pizza did look pretty good.
People who don't eat pizza crust, I'm just like, and then they say they like breadsticks. I'm like, bull. Come on, you're so full of crap. Anyway, that was it. Sorry, Thomas. I would guess he's probably gonna get it. If he got an 8-minute ovation, he's probably gonna get it. So
I wouldn't be surprised if he got it, but I wouldn't choose him for it. Just don't think the material is strong enough for it.
But
I think
material,
probably-
but performance. Material and performance are different. So,
True. I don't think the material helped him out any.
yeah, I'd probably honestly give it to his wife's character more. And he did great. Like I don't have almost any problems with him, but she just was so good. Anyway.
I was just gonna say he probably will, but I think the Elvis performance was a lot deserved a little more because he became somebody else, and like I bought it as opposed to like just a fat guy that's sad.
Yeah. Right. Good discussion there. But it's time to move on to our watch list.
That's one of our longer discussions, I think, too.
Yeah. It was a good one because I did not expect
Yeah,
it to
it
be
was.
different.
It went all over the place, up and down, up and down. There was
We'll
crying.
have part two when I rewatch it.
Okay, so watch list. I only have 2 this week.
I only got one.
I have a lot.
What's it? I'm guessing that me and Jared have one in common.
Yeah.
Guessing we might have some that you guys have. Thomas, how much did you say you had? Or are you still
I have
counting?
8. I have 8.
Okay. Michael, you said you had a lot, so go ahead.
Okay. It's because I have a lot. 1, because I watched a lot, and 2, because I wasn't here 2 podcasts ago when we had our last rewatch or watch this thing. But I can breeze through quite a few of these pretty quickly. But back from that podcast that we missed, Alec brought up, we watched Pinocchio, which was, as he said, it's an incredible movie. Like the stop motion is so, I feel like more next level than anything like I've seen stop motion wise. It's so good. The depiction of the innocent child with the like old withered man is so like the it's so weird. It's like that kind of like, it's like as if a baby had more consciousness and could go out and just be versus an old man who's defeated. It's like those 2 different perspectives. Very interesting. Give me 2 seconds.
Pinocchio is such a lovable moron in this movie. Like he's so stupid.
Sorry, my dog's being very loud. The next movie I rewatched Avatar, which I kind of touched on this in our top 10 that we did last time. It's not as good as I thought it was. Because, I mean, we should have talked about also like I like enjoy those movies for the spectacle of them, but still, like I did take a few notches down of what I actually thought it was, but still a good movie. Banshees of Inisherin, which we just talked about, so that's off my list. Rewatched Memento. That movie's incredible. Made my cousins watch it. And just like so complicated, so puzzle put together, so good. Anyway, then Alex and I watched See How They Run. Did you talk about that in the last one?
No, because we haven't. Yeah,
I talked about it on whatever last one we did. Not the top 10, but
Is that the one with Christian Bale?
no.
That's
No.
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell.
And Saoirse Ronan. Yeah.
Very, very charming movie. Very funny characters, but extraordinarily predictable. It's just like, okay, from the beginning, you're like, I get that. But it's also just kind of a fun ride. Not too much to say about that one, though. Then we did watch Glass Onion, which same idea of like very amusing characters, but Daniel Craig like ups it in this one somehow. Who all has seen this? Hands up. No, Thomas. Okay, so I'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum if you care.
I've already been spoiled on it.
Okay. So basically, Daniel Craig, spoils everything we talk about. He knows what's going on the whole time, but he doesn't put that off at the beginning. And so his performance of being this like ditz the whole time is so enjoyable, especially when you realize he knows what's going on the whole time. Because like in the beginning, you think, oh, I just got this invitation and I was really excited to come along. And then you realize, he orchestrated the invitation and they did that whole thing. And he's not this big dummy. He just tried to, I don't know. I thought they did that really well. The ending.
Like sorry, I do like that line though. It's like, it's so dumb. It's brilliant. It's like, no, it's just dumb.
It's just dumb.
But yeah, I thought this movie was super fun. And the only part that had me on the edge for a moment was the ending, because it's very over the top and very extreme. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But the more I thought about it, the more I kind of was like, I get what they were going with that, and the kind of like, what's the word for it? Impact that would have on him with what they do. I was like, okay, I get it. Probably not how I would have done it, but I get it. But I thought it was just super fun whodunit. A couple of whodunits in here, but so I really enjoyed that. Then finally, we got our family together and we watched Secrets of Dumbledore, the third Fantastic Beasts movie, and his poo poo. We heard a lot about the movie, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's okay." It's interesting because it's. I feel like it's one of the best depictions of magic in the Harry Potter world we've seen, which is depressing because most of the time I find them from from like the fourth one on, I find them very boring. So like basically when David Yates takes over, like they're so gray and boring. And here's white and black spells, white and black spells, white and black spells.
Michael really doesn't like David Yates, although he did not do the fourth one. That was a guy named Mike.
I know, but I mean, after the fourth one on, because the fourth one has a little bit of color, but like. Yeah, like, and so finally in this one, there's a little more creativity with the spells. Oh, that wasn't like just light flying at someone and they flew. That was something happened to them. It was enjoyable. So I actually enjoyed the magic in this one. The characters were so downplayed though. Well, firstly, why the movie is so bad? Because I actually like the characters. I didn't mind the stuff they did. They're still doing stupid stuff with the Harry Potter lore and it's annoying, but I thought the characters did really well and some of the choices they made were good. But the plot is stupid. Dear Lord, the plot is so stupid. It's like, hey, we're going to have an election. How do we choose a selection? Well, in the old times, they'd have a goat kneel in front of you, a good person. Let's do that again because no one can choose between these two people. Stupid as can be. Good Lord, the plot was dumb. So that's basically why I couldn't stand the movie because I thought it was stupid. But apart from that, a few of the characters were just kind of not mishandled, but not handled at all. Like they were in the movie, but I'm like, why? Whenever in the other two movies, they were a lot. But anyway, enough of that. I totally forgot I watched this. So finally went off of Alex and I think Joe. Yeah, I know Joe saw this, but he didn't like the ending. Finally saw The Outfit, which Alex has been raving about for a while. And it's kind of is it an indie film? How would you describe this? Not really.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It feels very indie to me. I don't know why. It feels like something a group of like college students that did a really good job would have done.
Very self-contained movie.
It's very self-contained, but it feels. How would I put that? It feels like it's. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe that. Anyway, very good movie. The way it's laid out is very. I don't know how to describe this movie because there is something that puts me off about this movie, and it's not the ending. Now, the ending I do disagree with. It should have ended at that one point and not had the whole, resurrection. But it's like after that, I was like, you should have ended before that because it really ended in the same point I thought it was going to end, but with that whole little bit between, which explains where he was before. But that was stupid. There was no need to have any of that information. You could have just imagined it. Fine, it was too much. But there is something about this movie that I'm like, it doesn't feel real. Like it's very stagey. It feels like a play to me.
Yeah, it's totally stagey.
And that puts me off a lot. Like it doesn't. I don't feel like I was there. I feel like I was watching a play, and that's one thing I guess I couldn't put my finger on until now of why it set that way with me. But yeah, but still really good, incredibly well shot, great acting, super great character. I really like the guy that played. I forget his name now.
Francis.
Yeah, Francis. I thought he was really good. I don't know what the heck he's from, but really liked him. And then also, that was on our way back we went to Angel Fire, and we also watched on that time. We watched Beautiful Boy for the first time with Steve Carell and Timothy Chalamet.
Oh yeah, that one.
Incredible movie.
Not
a movie I ever watch. Not a movie I ever want to watch again. I can understand that. Not a movie I ever want to watch again in my life. But man, and it's one of those ones that it keeps you guessing till the end of what's going to happen. And I'm like, man, I don't know, incredible performances, and yeah, just super down to earth and hard to watch. Yeah, go ahead.
The one scene that just about broke me, honestly, because that hits a lot of personal points for me, is when they're in front of in the backyard and they're against the wall talking to each other in the lawn chairs. Mm-hmm. And that scene just about broke me.
It's going to be another movie that the whole podcast has seen that says it's sad, and I'm going to be like, oh, that was fun.
I doubt it.
I don't. If it is, I have some questions.
It's certainly not a fun movie. Like
people don't like this movie though, and I don't know why. It didn't get really good reviews.
A lot of people's like I read some reviews. It's like it wasn't emotionally honest. I'm just like, are you kidding me?
I think people might just not like it because it's just too real. Like.
Maybe.
I watched The Outfit with Michael on the way back from Angel Fire, and then he's about to start Beautiful Boy, and then I give him back his earbud, and then he was just like, I was like, I've already seen that, and I was like, I don't want to watch that again.
Well, wait for my review next time.
There you go.
Okay,
I'm gonna have to watch it.
You will.
Yeah, that's one like the opposite of Darren Aronofsky's The Whale, because it's just pure real. Like there's no melodramaticism about it. It's just straightforward, in your face, and it's just like that that situation of like what the movie deals with is what do you do in that situation? Like, when do you say enough's enough? When do you stop trying? When, like, it's just so many questions and there's not a good answer for any of them.
Yeah, that's
and man, and I didn't realize it was based on a true story until the very end, which was wild. But yeah, very, very hard movie, very incredible movie. Then going very different direction. Don't know if any of you watched this new movie with my boy Adam Driver, White Noise.
I did,
which is Noah Baumbach's new movie. I haven't.
Don't spoil. I want to watch this one.
I'm not gonna spoil it.
I want to spoil it so bad.
I haven't rated this movie because I have no idea how I feel about this movie. So I usually try and rate my movies on just like give them the star rating, not like actual writer review, but on a letterbox after I watch it. And I was like, I'm gonna have to watch this. Let's watch it together, Thomas, because I want to watch it again. So I'll have you over.
Down for that. Because I really like Noah Baumbach and Adam Driver like teaming up.
So do I. I like them a lot, but I just don't know about this movie. I don't even remember what I thought at the end of this movie. It is such a. It's almost in a different sense of the whale, where it's so melodramatic, but so in your face about it, and like they're almost speaking in poetry rhymes to each other at times. You're like, what is that? What is real in this movie? What is going on? Are these people robots? Are they like aliens pretending to be human? That's what it feels like. It feels like aliens playing make believe humans and trying to express feelings after watching a bunch of, I don't know. It's a bizarre movie. But go ahead, Joseph, if you want to talk about it, because I don't know what I think about this movie.
I guess I'll leave a lot until you guys watch it again. But White Noise is based on the famous postmodern novel by Don DeLillo. And it does have a lot of that postmodern absurdity to it. And it basically it's basically talking about consumerism and the fear of death is basically which a lot of postmodern works do. So they kind of make fun of like the absurdity of death, and it goes out there. It's a really out there movie. But if for one thing you watch this movie, watch it for the end credits. The end credits are so good. They're like my favorite end credits of history now.
Okay, that's a very odd detail.
It's like what was that band called? Something Go.
Okay Go.
Okay Go.
It's like Okay Go directed the end credits.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Well, just watch it for that if you don't watch it for anything. Yeah, I'll say more when you guys talk about it.
Yeah, well, we'll make Thomas watch it hopefully before next time. And then going off another absolutely bizarre movie. So this is what I was talking about with Colin Farrell. I went back and I only knew the name of this movie, so I didn't know anything else about it. But I went and watched The Lobster.
Yes.
Oh, yes. This is simultaneously a great movie and just a bizarre cluster of what the heck. Because like the premise, Alex fell asleep, was on sleep on the couch, and he kind of woke up at the end of this movie. So, and I don't know if I told you the premise of this movie, Alex, is basically it's illegal to be single.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can't be single, so they get sent off. So his like wife dies or leaves him or something like that big in the movie.
Sign me up for that world.
He's sent off to like a group home where they have to just choose a mate within 45 days or be turned into an animal.
I didn't know that.
And that's the movie.
So like played completely serious.
It's so serious and it's bizarre and the way Colin Farrell performance in this is so lovely. Just like it's like this sheepish little boy, but who can't help but say what's on his mind, and it's like this. I don't know. So I just didn't expect the movie to be like that at all, and I don't know. It was very unique. Loved it though. Then we watched. Okay, so I finally watched.
Have you seen A Killing of a Sacred Deer?
Me and Jared watched that one
though.
Okay, so if you want another weird one like that movie,
go watch this one.
Watch that one too.
Weirdly enough, the guy that plays Dominic in Banshees of Inisherin is in it with Colin Farrell.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
that was going through my mind like when we were watching Banshees. I was like, hey, it's those two.
It's those two again. They're still having weird conversations.
Whoa, stop it, dog. They're so hyper. Anyway, so we can start this year off with our Alex and I would do like a recommendation from everyone for each time of the podcast. So I'm going to count this as mine, Alex. Sorry if you didn't want this to be, but we'll start alphabetically. And so I watched Hunt for the Wilder People, which Alex has been trying to get me to watch for ages. Didn't realize it's like a TV film. Didn't realize the guy from Jurassic Park is in it. The kid who was from Christmas Chronicles 2, who I thought did a bad job in that movie.
He's terrible in that movie, but he's great in this one.
He's great in this movie. It's such a fun, weird, wonky, out there, very sad movie, but also so charming and delightful. I don't know. It was such an interesting. It took a lot of turns that I didn't expect it to take, and it's so over the top and so Taika Waititi. So I'm surprised he didn't play the cop's partner though. Like he played like the priest for the funeral or whatever.
Yeah.
And I thought he would have been the cop's partner, but he wasn't. But I don't know. It was a very delightful movie. Love this movie. Great performances. So fun. So ridiculous.
Like with the two hunters, and he's like the kid's saying stuff, and he's like, "Stop phrasing it like that. Stop phrasing it like that."
Yeah,
that's such a good scene. They're like in the thing. He's like, oh yeah, he touched it. He couldn't help me out that much. He wasn't too great. Whatever. I can't remember what the heck he was saying, but
he was saying, he couldn't assist me, or I don't remember what.
I can't remember, but it was just. And he's like, after he's like, why'd you say those things like that? He's like, what? Do you not understand what what it was coming across as? He goes, with his mouth over his hand. He's like, I don't know. It was such a bizarre, quirky film.
I love when Ricky Baker would just have like moments where he's like being gangster to nobody, like the trees. He's like, "What's up, G?" That's great.
Zip up his hoodie, hide from the world,
or whatever. Oh man, great movie. Then the last one, Alex and I watched the new movie with Christian Bale, The Pale Blue Eyes, or Eye, plural or singular. Eye,
singular.
That's already out.
Eyes, but it was
Just
Eye.
came out like
Friday.
Yeah.
Dang, I didn't watch that.
Dang.
This is getting kind of poo-poo by a lot of people, but I thought this was great. Like, and I kind of get like, okay, so the performances of the main characters are great, in my opinion, but then you have like these side characters of these like schoolboys who are just terrible, and the lines are terrible for them, and every scene with them I was like, please end. You're just as awkward and uncomfortable. I don't like it. But it's very much a movie about the end, so I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know if you guys know the story or anything, but I loved how everything tied in at the end, and all the things that went through with each of the characters and why they did what they did. And then it just has a lot of layers, but you don't get to those layers till the very end of the movie. But so all I can really say about it without spoiling is just like, I love that. I love how the movie shot so freaking well. It sounds so good. Just the vibe and aesthetic it's a very dark movie. Not like thematically, but thematically and visually. But I don't know. I thought I really enjoyed this movie. I thought Christian Bale did a great job. But yeah, I guess that's it. So, yeah, Alex, you want to go?
Yeah, pick me.
Alex, go.
Pick me. I watched a lot of this. All my movies he already mentioned, so I'm going to fly through them. Memento, I hadn't seen that in forever. It's freaking great. God, that movie's so great. Give. Guy Pearce, more roles. Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore. I actually like this a lot more than Michael did. We seem to be on opposite ends of these movies because I couldn't stand the second one and he liked it a lot more than I did. The story is stupid to make Bambi choose your leader, but like, I don't know, like I thought this movie was shot gorgeously. And it was acted really well. Mads Mikkelsen or Mick, I never remember what it is. He was so good in it. I wish he had been Grindelwald from the start. Because I like Johnny Depp, but Johnny Depp is too over the top. And Mads Mikkelsen felt so grounded, and it was really good. Yeah, I think this movie's plot, even though it's stupid, at least it makes sense. The last movie's plot was like, I've seen that movie like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, what is going on?
What is going on?
And they do some really stupid Harry Potter things, but they fixed some of the Harry Potter things from the last movie, in my opinion. So I quite liked it. I was very surprised, but my expectations were like, underground.
Yeah.
I hate the side characters in those movies.
Oh, you've seen those?
The sidekick.
Yeah, you hate Jacob. Yeah.
He's overdone in 2, and he's underdone. Like he's none of them in this one.
Yeah, I feel like he was good in the first one.
But he's actually in it.
And then he's a little annoying in the second, third one. And then see how they run. I watched it. I think it's very charming. I think that it's almost there. It's like it's so charming. It's fun. But the mystery's like not that interesting, and it ends too quickly. So that's my opinion. But I did enjoy it. Glass Onion. First 3/4 of that movie, awesome. Ending is one of the worst endings I have seen in my entire life. I hated that ending so much.
That's all I'm hearing right now.
So stupid. Don't buy it at all. And what sucks is I really like the first.
I thought you meant don't buy the movie. I was like,
no. I don't buy the story. I don't buy any of it, and it sucks because Michael was talking about like him being aware of what's happening. At first, I thought you meant that he was aware of who did it the whole time, and I was like, that's not true. But yeah, and the idea of him being like him stumbling through things and getting away with it is funny, but I don't buy it. Like, oh God,
I forget
that movie. Oh man, I almost hate that movie from the ending. God. And then The Pale Blue Eye is the last one that I watched. This one's really good. I agree with Michael. Very good. I just feel like it gets to the ending too quickly. Like it's so abrupt.
Really?
I mean, maybe I need to watch it again. Murder mystery movies, man. I have to watch them.
Difficult to do.
Yeah. Well, that's not even what I mean. I mean, like I have to watch them once or twice at least. I feel like I have a hard time following. Like even J.K. Rowling's like pseudonym series that she writes under pseudonym, like. They're really good, but I feel like I have to go through them again to understand, to pick up the beats on and the clues. It
could be fun.
Yeah, it could be fun. So maybe I'll just watch that again.
Yeah, I feel like Pale Blue Eye would be a good one just to get back because of what they reveal in the end. You're like, oh, so this is how that came across and why that came across. And man, I really like that movie.
I do too.
I really did.
Because like, I don't want to say anything where like,
I know, because it's literally all spoiler. Like the movie seems so pointless until you get to the end. You're like, oh,
there's something, and then there's something, and the second something made me go, oh, cool. Because the first something I was like, we're already here. This is already the ending. Okay, I guess. But
the Glass Onion.
The second,
that's what I thought. I was like,
the Glass Onion needed a second something. But this movie had a second something, and I was just like, I genuinely didn't see that coming. So it was cool. Anyway,
and it's one of those things you're like wondering. You're like, huh? Like you like this is not a spoiler. You know something's up. You're like, hold on, there's more to this than I don't get. And then you get to the more of it.
I'm gonna throw it to Joe.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
I got one left is Glass Onion since you kind of talked about White Noise. Jared, I was going to say.
Glass Onion was the one that I watched.
Okay. You want to go first about it?
Oh, sure.
You both went at the exact same time in the exact same way. It was like a brother moment, and I was just like, they definitely are related.
I need to stop going it. Oh my God.
That's the Shyamalan twist.
I need to stop going into these movies thinking it's going to be case closed. And I'm going to get a good mystery because it was terrible. It was entertaining, I guess. At points.
The first one was entertaining.
It was pretty bad. Go ahead, talk about it, Justin. Maybe I'll chime in with stuff. But.
So the first one, I didn't like the mystery, but the characters were kind of charming. This one, the characters are anti-charming.
That's true, actually.
There's only two parts I like in this movie. The first part is when he solves the little like made up mystery like really fast.
That was fun.
That was a funny part. And then the end where like Thomas was saying, where he's basically telling him this is stupid. This whole thing is stupid. The whole movie is stupid. And the real turning part to me, because I wasn't really enjoying it the whole watch through, but where it turned to hatred was when they go to the info dump where you learn that this character is not the character and she like secretly knows everything and they know everything. It turns Daniel Craig's character evil because he puts her in danger. You don't do that. I don't care like who you are, if you're the greatest detective or whatever. You don't put people in danger like that. She gets shot. She's lucky she's not dead.
He does.
What's that like substance or whatever that they're like all going goo goo gaga for? Like that has so much energy or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Like I read I read a review of of a physicist who did that. It's like if that existed in the world, they would immediately be put into an unmarked van by the government and like you don't talk about this ever. It's like this could bring down the world.
Well, that's not how these people think. This guy steals the MacGuffin, and instead of destroying the MacGuffin that can destroy him, he puts it on display. I mean, I saw a video where someone was picking this movie apart. It just crumbles. If you try to look into too deeply into this movie, it just crumbled. But the performances I didn't like. I didn't like anyone. There's no one in this movie that I
Dave
rooted
Bautista, the streamer.
No.
It's such a weird part.
I know. It's just, oh man, I didn't enjoy this movie.
It was like the whole movie was just the setup for that joke about it being dumb.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the director's playing us stupid, and I don't appreciate that.
I feel like that's a lot of Rain Johnson's movies. Is like he has this one line that he wants to do, and he like bases a whole movie around it. And then it's like, isn't that a profound line? It's like, not really. I mean, it's kind of funny, but there needs to be more than just that one line. I did really like her story and her character, the sister. I really liked her, and I like that.
Doesn't make sense though, because why didn't she go to the police?
There were definitely a lot of things that didn't make sense. Where like there was something with. It's kind of spoiling it. Thomas, who cares? This movie sucks.
It's already been spoiled.
Oh, like yeah, true. But there's like her sister that died. Like 2 people, if I'm remembering correctly, knew that. Edward Norton, and then that guy that wasn't that guy that was driving, or maybe he didn't know. He drove his motorcycle past his car, so I guess maybe he didn't know. But
I thought none of them knew except for.
Well, but Edward Norton
knew when he got the update.
Yeah, but Batista found out whenever he was the only one on his phone. But
I mean, when the movie starts,
when they first,
like Edward Norton knows, and yet she shows up, and he's not like, get off my island, like he has all the power to get rid of her, and like, who the hell are you? Because I saw you die, or I knew you died. This movie makes no sense. God, this movie sucks.
Well, you see that kind of in his. I mean, they play it off in the sense of they had the breakup or the off thing, but he's like genuinely thrown off and shocked when she arrives there, and then I'm assuming they all knew that she had a twin, and so I'm assuming he probably either put that together and just let it see what happened. But
it's just so
I'm not vouching for the intellectual creation of this movie. I don't think it's a dumb, fun, entertaining romp, but
yeah, it's just so unbelievable that news didn't get out somehow.
Yeah.
Not in this day and age. White Noise, like I said, Jared, if you watch this movie, watch it for the end credits, because I think you'd really enjoy the end credits too. But it's fun. Another thing is fun is watching all like the 80s products. I really enjoyed that. That took me back. I like that. Yeah, that's all I have. So Jared, you can finish your list up.
Oh, I just watched Glass Onion. That was
okay. What, Thomas?
So, I watched all of Richard Linklater's Before trilogy, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. It's just about these 2 people who randomly meet on a train. That's the first movie anyway. They kind of fall in love and say, "Hey, well, I want to see you again later." And they kind of just go their separate ways. And the next one is them meeting 10 years later. They fall back in love, and after not having seen each other since that one night. And then the last one is just about them being in a relationship for like another 10 years. And the first one was written by Linklater, and the other 2 were actually written by Ethan Hawke and I forgot her name. The actress in the movie. She's very, very French. These were really good dialogue. I loved the talking in this. Cause it's all about, just them having a conversation throughout the day. And there's like these really, really long takes. Like I think There's one take in the third one that's like 15 minutes long, something like that. They're just like trekking. And these movies aren't very long. They're only like 80 minutes, something like that. But the first one, my favorite scene was they meet a poet like on the banks of a river, and he writes them a poem based on a prompt. And I love that because, I love poetry. I love writing poetry, and I love just receiving a prompt and seeing what I can go with it. The second one, I really liked this one scene where they're in a cafe and they're just trying to catch up with each other. Like, where have you been? Like, seriously, I thought you were going to come meet me, and then they find out why. And it's really good dialogue. The third one, I think is probably the best of the conversations that they had. There's this one scene. I actually have my notes here, is that Ethan Hawke gives like this rant about postmodern feminism, and just how it's just like the worst thing ever. And I was like, that's exactly like the words Joe would use right now. And I was laughing through the whole scene because he's just like, I'm done with this crap. You're putting all this on my like shoulders. Like, I'm done. No more. And it's great. Like, and what makes these conversations so well done is that they're very honest conversations, and they're conversations where neither of them are right. They just need to talk about how they feel, and it's a fantastic trilogy. And it's kind of weird that these movies were made so long apart from each other, and they have like the continuity, because the first one was just like, oh yeah, we just made this, it was good, and they're like, we have other ideas, and they just kept making them. It's just, they're very interesting.
Kind of did that on purpose too.
Yeah,
split them apart.
Yeah, like after the first one, they're like, you know what, we should wait a little bit and see what we come up with. Go ahead, Michael.
I always wanted to watch these. Where'd you watch them?
I have them. If you want me to let
I
you
have.
Yes.
Oh, okay, it's me. Like,
Do you have your Thomas card, Michael?
Yeah, but say I need
late fees?
your punch.
I gotta watch the one you let me borrow, and then I can turn it in for the other ones.
You can exchange it. It's fine. We do exchanges.
You do whole bunches so we can get like free subs.
Yeah, I do.
Dude, I'm gonna make Thomas some cards. I'm gonna make Thomas some cards.
I'm gonna have like a whole like kiosk and everything in my apartment. Like, yes, how can I help you?
You have like the slit we can push it through, and then
I'm gonna make a mail slot. I'm gonna make a mail slot just for you guys, so you can just
it's like 2 a.m. and
you
you just hear plonk plonk.
Oh, good. They finished the movie.
All I'm hearing is Michael talking about
wasn't gonna watch
slits
those.
that we're sliding it through, and Thomas is saying his mail slot.
Shut up,
what
Alex.
does that mean?
Anyway, but yeah, very good, and I'll lend you them, Michael. I think you'd actually I think you would enjoy them. They're very good. Next one I watched was I just finished the book again, so I wanted to watch the movie again. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Probably my favorite spy like story. It's just so good. And I didn't know this until I watched like a behind the scenes thing. This is the same director as Let the Right One In. He's a Swedish director.
Huh.
And this was his first movie in English. And I think it's very interesting that he decided to do a completely talky movie, very dialogue heavy, very it would be very difficult to do this in your second language, but he decided to do this one and adapt it. And I just love it. Like, Gary Oldman's great. Tom Hardy's amazing. Benedict Cumberbatch is good. I mean, name a British actor and they're pretty much in this movie.
Ian McKellen.
Is he in this one? No, he's not. But Toby Jones and Keelan Hines is in this as well. So is John Hurt. It's just, there's just a lot of people in it. It's really good. Really good. Colin Firth is in it too. Sorry. After I watched The Whale, I kind of went on a Darren Aronofsky little kick. Watched The Fountain for the first time. This is probably the most Aronofsky movie I've ever seen in my life.
I still need to see it, so
I won't give much. It's kind of hard to give it away because the story is so abstract. So
okay.
I mean, I have it. If you want me to lend it to you, I can. But yeah, this one was probably my least favorite of his.
Same. Yeah.
It's
Even though as Hugh Jackman, it's my least favorite.
What's funny is that he's good in it. It's just I don't like the story. It's just like I don't care.
The story is also super one note. and I don't know if you guys remember me talking about this movie. It's too yellow. The whole movie's very
Yeah.
It is
yellow.
very yellow. It is like Deus Ex, like
Weird.
humankind yellow. Yeah,
Is it the 70s yellow?
no, because even 70s is like there's like a tint to it. This is like everything's just yellow.
It's like
Yeah,
you're
like
watching the movie through
There's
an
pizza for that
amber
yellow
lens.
Yeah, pretty much like almost like Fiddler on the Roof. They filmed this through a stocking type thing. But it did have some cool parts. I did like a lot of the visuals, and I think that's probably the main thing he had is he wanted to visualize like the aspects of a lot of Eastern philosophy that I'm just not really into as well. That's probably why I didn't like it. But it was a watch. So then I watched Black Swan.
Yes.
Ooh.
That movie's great. And I've seen it before, but that movie's fantastic. Natalie Portman 100% deserve an Oscar for that because she was great. Still have some feelings about her and Mila Kunis, but we're not going to get into that. But there's a reason why I watched this at 18. So, but go ahead, Jared.
Is it streaming anywhere, or did you have it?
I have it if you want it.
Come,
That's
put your hole.
yeah.
Damn it, Alex.
Oh, you better believe
Put
the
your
art.
movie into my slot.
You better believe the art on those cards are going to be interesting. Yeah, that's probably my favorite of his movies.
Yeah, by far.
I'm having trouble like deciding, but that's probably pretty high on mine.
It's between that and Mother for me, but I haven't seen a lot of his.
I didn't like Mother. I didn't like.
Oh, I
Mother at
totally
all. I didn't like
understand why you wouldn't like Mother.
I
Totally
didn't
get
like
it.
Mother, and I didn't like Noah. Like it was just
I never saw
I
that.
forgot he did know. I never saw that.
everybody forgot. Everybody wants to forget that movie. That movie.
Yeah, really.
Except for go ahead.
No, you go. You finish.
Well, except for Anthony Hopkins is good in that, but he's in a terrible movie and it cannot save it. Also, like some of the aspects of like the angels are kind of cool because they got the Watchers, but it like took like a sliver of biblical mythology and it's just like we're just gonna go nuts.
Yeah.
And I like one of the reviews for Noah. It's like, you know what? It's not like they had like an epic tale of the world ending. They had to add all this crap. So anyway, go ahead, Jared.
They get off Noah's Ark and they gotta fight a different tribe. What the heck?
I know. It's like,
going
what?
on?
I was just gonna say it's between like Requiem or Black Swan for me because
Well, I just bought Pi and I've never seen it.
you never seen Pi.
Never seen Pi, and it's actually kind of hard to find. I actually found it at Second and Charles in the DVD one. I tried looking at Amazon, and they're all like region 2, and I'm like, I can't do that. So
Pi's pretty good.
Not even an apple pie.
I almost bought no. I almost bought Requiem as well, but I didn't want to do the whole double DVD thing. They never last well.
I haven't seen that one. I need to watch that.
It's good. It's not. I think we say this about all of his movies. It's not an easy watch, but
No,
Yeah,
it's
none of
definitely
his
it's
are
definitely
easy.
worth it.
Mother is like one of the most difficult watches I've ever.
He
That's
did,
probably what I need to rewatch because I hated that movie when we watched it.
I
I think he did that on
loved it.
purpose.
He did The Wrestler, right? Right.
Yeah.
That's
That's
probably one of his
oh.
easier movies to watch.
Is that with Christian Bale and
No, Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke.
what am I thinking of?
I think of The Fighter.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of.
That's still not Christian Bale. Well, it is Christian Bale and
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Anyway, so next one I watched because I was kind of on a Aronofsky thing. I wanted to watch Paprika. I haven't watched that movie since I was like 14 years old, and I got it from Hollywood Video.
Why'd you watch Paprika?
I was gonna watch Perfect Blue, but I recently watched Perfect Blue, and I haven't watched I haven't watched Paprika in like over 10 years. So I wanted to watch that one first. Probably gonna watch Perfect Blue after that. Yeah, Paprika is pretty interesting. Not my favorite of this guy. I think I like Perfect Blue probably the most. Maybe Tokyo Godfather. I want to see what's it called? Something Agent.
Paranoia Agent.
Secret
Paranoia
Agent Man.
That's one of the
Agent
best
Cody
animes
Bank.
I've ever seen, and it's going to be on our next podcast.
Nice.
Oh, maybe I should watch it with you guys.
Maybe.
I've never seen it. I've always wanted to see it. So, be a crossover.
Just doing drama with his
I
hands.
was about to say, Alex is freaking out a little bit. Yeah, weird up close. Anyway, so I did have a treadmill tales this fine podcast.
Yeah.
Watched Werner Herzog's Grizzly Man.
That's right.
Very interesting movie. It was very honest. It did not shy away from a lot of the topics that were brought up, like discussing this guy, because this guy basically went out into the wilderness and tried to live with bears, and he got eaten, him and his girlfriend. Like, and there were like some interviews, like, yeah, duh, that's what would happen. And then you have like a lot of people who try to, like, you know, justify it and like see all the work that he did. And he did do a lot of like interesting philanthropic work with animal organizations. But, you know, when you get down to it, he was just not mentally stable. And even like Herzog's just like, he was very crazy. And so like, it's just like, there's this part in the movie where it's just like, I do not see a kind animal. I see death. And I'm like, oh,
If Herzog is calling you crazy,
I know. I was just like, okay, Werner, I believe you. So, very good, very, very, very good movie. I love Herzog's like style. Like, he's just one of those filmmakers I really, really look up to, just because he's like, you know what, screw it. Like, screw the Hollywood formula, screw anything that you have like a preconceived notions of. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And he made a very good documentary, and I've seen some of his other documentaries, and this one's up there. So yeah, that's the treadmill tales for this week, and children. Also, that's how the guy talked, the grizzly man. It was kind of weird. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got.
Don't live with bears, people.
Do not live with bears. Do not live with bears. I will say that right now as a disclaimer. Do not live with bears.
they're so
eat
cute.
you. No, it will eat you, and they ate him.
Unless they're gummy bears.
Yay!
Even then. Even then.
All right, so that's our episode for this time. Any last words, guys?
Nope.
Okay.
I got a potty.
Subscribe and rate us wherever you get this podcast, and we'll see you next time. Jared, take us out.
That's good stuff.
Whoa.
Whoa, he was ready.